I always ask my guests if they have any regrets. I personally don't have any regrets. Even when it comes to my tattoos, I have the silliest tattoos. Even my ET on my leg, it's still a childhood memory for me, and I love it. I've had tattoos on top of tattoos strictly because I wanted more tattoos. I started getting tattoos when I was 18. I'm 52 now, and I can't stop. I've had laser treatment before on something on my arm. It's 4 tattoos on top of each other. And that experience at that place was pretty fast. It was pretty cold. It was in and out, swiped the credit card. Don't really tell me much. Didn't give me much details of anything was going to happen. So I never went back. So as of most recently, I'm so lucky enough to have had 2 sessions at Removery Tattoo Removal. My tattoo on my arm that looks like a big black blob is now super light. I've had 2 sessions. I have a long road ahead of me. None of this stuff happens overnight. You cannot take a tattoo up in one sitting. You have to be patient. And it's painful. They ice you up. It's super fast. To me, it felt like a bunch of rubber bands. But what's more painful than that is looking at something on your body that you think you're stuck with for the rest of your life. That sucks. But now for me, I'm really happy I started this journey. I'm slowly going to get this tattoo removed. I never thought in a million years I have any kind of real estate on my arm. I don't even know what I want, but it's exciting. I'm so honored to announce that One Life One Chance podcast is now with Removery. I have a code. Use TobyH20 and get $100 off your first session. Call 866-934-4570 or go to Removery.com. One of the most experienced tattoo removal companies in the world. Over 600,000 removal treatments done. 100 locations. U.S., Canada, and Australia. State-of-the-art peak-away laser technology. Cryo-technology to reduce any discomfort. This is so exciting for me because all I do in these podcasts is talk about tattoos. From day one, if you've been listening to this podcast, we talk about tattoos, talk about getting removed, talk about getting covered up. So this is such a perfect fit for me. Once again, go to Removery.com or call 866-934-4570. Use my code TobyH20 and get $100 off. These guys are located everywhere. Try it out.
Testing 1, 2,
check,
3.
Check,
Checking
check.
the microphone.
Your voice is epic.
Thank you,
Can we do an intro? You ready?
Ready.
Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I had coffee too. Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. I'm your host Toby Morse, and I am no longer drinking caffeine after today. My brother from another mother is here. I'm very lucky to have Derek Green with me here again today before he leaves on a 3-month tour.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't want to think about it.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm trying to get you on a bunch before you go because I love having you. I love having you here, man. So thank you for being here.
I feel the love. Thank you.
And then across from me is my friend. I haven't seen her in many, many years, only through social media because that's how the world is now, and everybody's doesn't really hang out with each other, and everybody's far apart. Mia Tyler, thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So this is your first podcast.
It is my very first podcast.
Yes.
Exciting.
So excited.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how we met. He was asking
I usually ask, like, how did you meet Toby?
I know how we met.
Okay.
Here we go.
The first time we met.
Okay.
You were in Hazen Street.
Oh, shit, that's right.
Recording at
Howard Benson Studio.
Yes.
Wow.
And I was there with P. Roach.
Oh, that's right.
When I was married.
Yes, that's right. Holy
And
shit, P. Roach was in there too at the same time.
You guys were in the other studio.
And
I was like, because I knew who you were, because I grew up in New York going to hardcore shows. So I was like,
damn,
how is this world just totally turned around?
Yeah,
and
that's
here
true.
I am in the valley.
Yeah.
With Howard Benson of all people. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. I didn't even freaking mention
I think that was the first time we met.
Yeah, Jacoby didn't remember that. I'm bringing that up when we had him on the pod about recording at the same time. We both did Howard Benson, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
What was the second time?
I think the second time, our mutual friend Ori, because I was being a total
Ori from Queens.
I was being a total mark in WWE because I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Right.
And I had watched some like CM Punk thing, and I just was like,
I was in the doc. I mean, so I mentioned in the doc.
yeah.
Okay.
And so Ori had mentioned that you were buddies with him, and I just wanted to like. I totally sent him like a fangirl letter, just like it was straight up just because I love that documentary and I related to it.
Yeah.
And I am also a huge wrestling fan,
Right.
so I somehow got in touch with you, and then you gave me his email,
That's
and then I wrote him this stupid letter. But then we became email buddies, Phil and I. So it was like it was a nice.
And now he's
thing.
a champ again. I just saw that the other day.
Yeah. So it all.
That's so crazy. It's a small world.
A very small world. And Ori's the one.
Yeah, he's out here now too, right? Yeah.
Yep.
He's a Queens boy, but he was like...
He is.
So I didn't realize until I did my deep dive that you were born in New Hampshire. I always thought you were from Cali for some reason, but...
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Cali?
Not Cali, not New Hampshire. Let's just say not New Hampshire. Because you did live in New York for a long time after that. Yeah.
I was born in New Hampshire, but then I grew up in New York longer than I lived anywhere else on this planet. Well, now California, but
Yeah, now for me, California, I've lived here longer than I lived anywhere on the East Coast.
Wow.
It's kind of sad.
It's
weird. It's weird.
is
It's
weird.
like over 20 years here.
Yeah.
Right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay, so New Hampshire, so you went to school there too and everything?
I was born there, and then we moved to New York, and I was there till I was 4. And then from 4 to 11, I was back in New Hampshire. So it was all up in the air, but I'm mainly a New York City girl. I just can't claim it because I wasn't born there.
Yeah, me too.
That's what everybody says. You can't claim that you're from here.
It's true. Isn't that weird?
But I lived there. I did all of my naughty adolescent growing up there. So.
Yeah. My band started there. Does that mean I'm from there? My whole band was not from there. We met there. It's interesting.
Not really.
Well, okay. Aerosmith is claimed to be from Boston because that's where they moved to, but none of them are from there. My dad's from New York. They're from New England, but they're a Boston band. So
okay, yeah. So I can still claim New York hardcore because my band was born.
That's how I always associate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But okay, Guru from Gangstar, he was from Boston. He moved to New York. He claimed New York.
Yeah,
Gangstar's from New York.
Right.
So something like that, I guess. Right.
Yeah. Sure.
So how was it? How was it going to school in New Hampshire? Like growing up in New Hampshire?
I honestly really.
I
mean,
it's normal.
I only
it's
know
a beautiful
one
place.
city there. It's like Concord. That's
yeah.
That's the capital, Toby.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that.
So
it wasn't like whatever.
It's beautiful. I love it. It's my heart. That house. I grew up there with my mom, and so my emotions are there, and it's on a lake, and it's beautiful. It's a little
sounds nice.
Little town on a lake. So. But then I had to take an hour-long bus to get to school as a little kid, and it was just, I was the first to get picked up and the last to get dropped off, and it was lots of snow and none of that good stuff.
And even
as an adult, I can appreciate it. As a kid, I was like, F this place.
Yes, you might be getting picked up in the dark when the sun was going down early in the winters, and you waiting to get.
100%.
My son has like this. I feel like we scarred my son because we'd pick him up all the time, and when he first realized that the sun would go down early in the winter, he'd be at school because he did after school stuff, and it'd be dark and he'd be crying, waiting for us. Like, oh man, I can't imagine that. Or just taking the bus for an hour as a young kid too.
It was called the County Coach, and it was half little kids and then half older people who were disabled, like Down syndrome or different disabilities. So it was a mix, which is a strange mix for a first and second grader to be on a bus with people, and it's scary when you're a little kid.
Yeah,
it was also the 80s, and we didn't have the internet or compassionate parents. So it was a vibe.
It's funny you say that, the 80s and not compassionate parents, like how parents weren't the way we are, because we're super emotional, and I know you're emotional and compassionate, and we're very like hands-on and like in the mix and communicating, and it's like, don't cry or go to school, get on that bus. You know what I mean? It's different growing up back then.
So it was, it was different back then. But then I had the flip side of that. We were always in New York City. Yeah. And then we officially moved back when I was 11 or 12. So
to New York.
Yeah. So it was like I went from like country bumpkin, New Hampshire gal to New
City
York
slicker.
City, like wearing baggy jeans and just, thinking I was tough and the New York City.
You went to public school there?
I went to private school.
Wow. Okay.
I went to a lot of schools. I didn't do so well in school, but I did Catholic school.
Were you a troublemaker? Were you like a wild kid?
I'm antisocial. I don't like people. I don't want to be in a clique. I don't want to go do things with other people. I just wanted to be in my world, do my own thing. Yeah. I also, not to be cliche, but I never found anybody that was like me. I was into my mom always pushed music on me. So I would listen to like rock and roll or, the 90s, listening to like Green Day. I was obsessed with Green Day when they came out, like weird little things, but nobody ever was into the same stuff I was. So I just was like, I'm just going to go home.
Damn. Right. So that is a lot to, growing up where we were able to find a lot of connection through music.
Yeah.
Well, like-minded people that did the same thing, right? Like,
well, I think it's because my mom forced me to go to these schools that I did not want to go to. Yeah. So I was in these the first school I went to was like a prestigious Upper East Side Catholic school, all girls school. And I was like, what? Can I cuss on here? Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. I've been in quarantine.
So the fuck you want to say, girl?
Get
out, girl.
But I was like, I don't want to fucking be here. This is like none of this is my vibe in any way.
I get it. Yeah.
All girls, all attitude, Catholic, being just pushed on top of you, having to go to church and all that. And I just didn't agree with any of that.
Yeah.
And then she wanted me to be an actress. So she sent me to this other school that was the biggest mistake, where you could sign out and say you had auditions. And it was right by Central Park. So we would go buy acid and drugs and just in 10th grade, I'm like
just chilling in the park,
doing terrible drugs in the park. So, and then they said, you have to leave. You can stay back half a year or you can leave. And I was like, well, fuck you. I'm not staying.
Wow.
To do 10th grade over again. So I left, found another school on the east side that was for like complete derelicts. Just, do you remember? I don't know if you guys remember this. There was like these 2 high school kids that had like killed a homeless guy in Central Park.
I might have heard that back
One
then.
of them went to that school. So like,
shit.
it was just like,
wow.
yeah, they're just, and then, so I stopped going to school. My best friend and I at the time, who both of us used to go to your shows, but we would cut school and we would just go
hang out,
eat, hang out,
yeah,
window shop, go to Bloomingdale's, like just do anything to avoid going to school. And then that school said, that was 11th grade. They were like, you can stay back or you can leave. So I was like, fuck you. So I left, found another school on the Upper West Side that would take me. That was even worse than that one.
Wow.
And I was just like selling drugs and doing E and like, yeah.
Holy shit.
I was like zonked out of my mind the whole time. And then that was 12th grade. And then halfway through the year, they were like, you're going to have to stay back again.
Oh my God.
Took away all my senior privileges. So I was like, fuck you. And I left. And then I went to City Ass. I call it City Ass, but City Ass down in the lower.
Yes.
Lower West.
Okay, Lower West. Okay.
Yeah. And I went there and I did, instead of going to school, you could do a, what is that when you work at a place but you don't get paid?
Internship.
Yeah.
So they were like, you can do an internship. So I found a casting agency. So I worked there and I actually stopped going to school and was just working there for free because I also at that time had left home and was like homeless. So it was my high school.
Crazy.
My high school time was very up and down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very rebellious. And you didn't want to do any acting. You didn't want to be an actor.
No, I didn't. Okay, and my mom was kind of like forcing me, and I got a couple parts, and I just didn't. I hated it. I didn't want to do it. And my mom was trying to make me be this Upper East Side or like
she wanted you to mold you into something you weren't.
She wanted me to be in this celebrity world.
Right.
Yes.
I remember like my sister was friends with a couple people and Marlon Richards.
Okay.
Who is Keith Richards' son, and my older sister Liv would hang out with them, and my mom would let me stay out, no curfew, because I was with them.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like I'm 16 hanging out with these much older people, and I can stay out till 4 a.m. doing God knows what because they are somebody's kid. And I started resenting her for things like that because I was like, you're not being authentic. That's not.
And she was like in that world, you know.
Yeah.
Like I mean, with
she
Bowie
was a party.
And
she was
Andy
like
Warhol and
yeah.
Oh, your mom.
It's intense seeing, you know, like really being seen, you know, like okay, beauty and I mean, very important, I guess.
Yeah.
Like that aspect of like being beautiful or.
Yeah, she was a party gal.
Yeah.
Like. She liked to host parties and put on Iggy Pop and everybody was dancing and Mia and her friends got drunk, you know, little things like that, which you can't, obviously we wouldn't do now.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Well, to that extent, but so it was she really wanted me to be this
there's something you weren't
celebrity or like, and I've never cared about any of that. And I still don't. I'm not even trying to care.
Yeah. And did you get into modeling through your mom too when you were young? So
no, that came up. That came up because I was in rehab at 19.
At 19.
Yeah. So after high school, I just was like a mess. I was all over the place. My dad got me an apartment because I was like, I told my mom at 17. I said, look, I'm leaving. You can get child support for 1 more year, and I won't tell my dad that I'm leaving. And you can let me leave, or I'm gonna leave and tell him that I'm leaving, and you won't get any money.
Wow, man!
And that shut her right up.
Wow.
So I just went and I was like living on couches and just all over the place. And then he got me an apartment when I was 19 on 22nd between Park and what is that over there? Like
Fifth Park, yeah, or Madison. I don't know.
Yeah, I had this little duplex apartment, and I just was doing massive amounts of cocaine and just
wilding out.
And did you make that decision to go to rehab? Was it your decision?
No.
Okay.
I had a coke buddy, and she called me one night and was like, "Hey, I got 13.5 grams for free," and I was like, "Come on over." And
that's a lot to people that don't know that.
That is a lot of cocaine.
It's a lot, right, Derek?
Yes. That is a lot of cocaine. And we proceeded to do it all in like one 24-hour span, to the point where my nose was bleeding and I was like eating it. It was bad.
Holy shit.
And then I just was progressing. I was taking pills and everything. And then I wouldn't leave my house until after 10 p.m. at night, because I knew the sun was down and I didn't want people to see me. And I was just in hoodies and like hiding from the world. And I must have managed to call my dad. And I guess I was just like sitting on the floor, and I called him, and I don't know what I said. I don't know if he even remembers, but I said something about I'm going crazy and people are looking at me and I don't want them to see me. Yeah. Whatever it was I said. He was like, "I'm going to call you back in 1 hour." And then he called me back and he was like, "Hey, honey, I'm going to send you out to a spa tomorrow. You're going to get, you're going to Malibu. You're going to get massages on the beach." And I just was like, "Oh, thanks." Had no idea where I was going. Got on a plane. I smoked. I remember I was just telling the story the other day. I rolled the godfather of all joints. Just every every weed I could find in the house, I just dumped it in this, and I smoked this huge joint, and I was drinking Malibu and pineapple on the plane. Oh. Yeah. Got off, and I was just falling down, and this guy picked me up, and he was like my dad's friend that I had met, and I was like, "Okay, cool." And then he just beelined it straight to Malibu, and I found myself at Promises Rehab.
Wow.
In Malibu.
What the
yeah.
So they bring your bags in, and it was a Sunday, which is the off day, and I had seen 2 celebrities that had been in the media recently.
Okay.
Just hanging out. One was barbecuing, one was in the pool, and I was like, "Hey." And then
holy shit.
When did you put 2 and 2 together?
Well, when they bring your bags into the room and they start going through it, and they take your Walkman, they take your nail polish, they take anything that you could hurt yourself with or get high with.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh shit." But I didn't fight it. I just went with it, and it was the best, 3 months, 2 months. I lost a bunch of weight and I got really healthy. And then the only thing I didn't like is they kind of got me into like, "You're an alcoholic too." And I was like, I'd never really was a drinker, but yeah, it was great.
So you were like 19, 20 then?
I was 19.
Wow, man.
I believe 18
Max's
or 19.
age, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So that helped. How long were you there for?
2-3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did the proper time there.
And you feel like it worked when you get out? You feel good?
I learned some stuff there that I ended up going for drugs and being out of control. But what I learned there was that I had inner child trauma.
Yes.
Which, it's cliche. Everybody has it. But I didn't realize how deep it went. And they say a lot of the times, however you are as an adult, whatever age like you resemble is from the trauma. And 6 was a very traumatic year for me when I was 6, a little kid. My whole youth was. But so in that process, I learned to let go, and I really released some major demons when I was at rehab. And you could see them flying off me like it was like a weight off my shoulders. So I did learn that from there.
Yeah.
As I got out, of course, I went back to doing stuff. It wasn't the same, but it took me a couple years. And then not too far after that, we cut to my mom got diagnosed with cancer. So it was just a series of unfortunate events that just kept kind of the dominoes would fall in the wrong direction.
So you went back to New York after Malibu?
So I went back to New York, and that's what led me to this. While I was in rehab, I got a call saying Francesco Scavullo, who's a huge fashion photographer, wanted to do a photo shoot for this company Lane Bryant, which is a plus size girls clothing.
Got you.
And my mom had shot with him when she was 19. So I was like, "Oh, I'm 19. This is a cool thing."
Yeah.
and they offered me, I think, what did they offer me? Like 10 grand to do it or something. They were like, here's 5 now, and then you can have 5 later. And I was like,
at 19, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was like 10 grand. Okay. And so that's what got me back to New York.
Gotcha.
So they, I flew back to New York. I did this shoot, and while I was doing all that stuff, an agent came up to me and was like, you want to be a model? And I was like, no, I don't. Not at all. I just did this to get some money, and I'm in a good place. And they just kept on me for a couple weeks, and they had given me a contract, and I had it on my fridge, and I just didn't care. And then my best friend Jillian was like, one night, I think we were just smoking a joint, and she was like, what are you, fucking stupid? Like, that's free money right there. Like, that's a chance for you to do something with your life. And I was just like, huh? Okay. So I signed it.
Yeah.
And I brought it in the next day and just slammed it down on the desk and was like, let's do this, I guess.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, you did a lot of work. You were doing a lot of stuff back then, right?
Yeah.
It became like a full-time thing kind of for you?
Yeah, it was crazy. Because after that, it was like, you make bank doing that.
Yeah,
I mean, you're flying to other countries doing H&M in England, or going to Paris to do, whatever magazines.
Yeah.
And they have different clothing lines out there that are just as big as the ones here. So it's opening your eyes. But I was traveling all over the world, making like 200 grand a year, just being pretty, which I was also against, because I was like, you're just, we're just hangers. We should just be hangers. Because I also didn't like the fame that came with it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just wearing these clothes.
Yeah.
Putting makeup on and smiling. There is work in it, but it's not like.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's not a job, because it is a job for a lot of people.
It wasn't gratifying for you.
It wasn't gratifying for me. Exactly. Thank
you.
Good
work, sir. Yeah.
And I just never liked the fame that came with it. So I was like, I mean, fame is a weird thing in anyways. So
yeah.
It's a whole other beast. But
did you ever, I was going to ask Toby, when you got into music, were you ever think about that fame aspect?
Well, like my hardcore band is gonna be famous? No.
Neither did I.
You know what I mean? Like,
so I can totally relate. Like, it was just like fame was something I never. But it's interesting because
that's why I like punk and hardcore.
Surrounded by famous parents.
Yeah.
And so that must have been really hard, especially if you're not feeling that. Because I know that I was like, I don't care about any of that, but I never was around it. I grew up in Cleveland. And it was just like, that was the last thing, being in a hardcore punk band. I was like, I don't care. I just do it because
you love it. Because you love it. Yeah.
I never wanted their fame, though.
Right.
And I still, to this day, I don't care. Like, I love my dad's fans. I love the people that bring up my mom and stuff. But at the end of the day, like, I left the entertainment industry a long time ago, because I have no desire to do that.
For you. Yeah, I love that.
When I first started out modeling, I wasn't going to take the last name Tyler, because our real last name is Tallarico. My dad is Stephen Tallarico.
Yeah.
All of our IDs.
That's a cool name.
That's what we
are.
Your
brother took that name, right?
Yeah, well, that's my brother. Yeah. All of us legally born, our birth certificates are Tallarico.
Right.
I think my little brother
I like
and
that
sister.
name. That's a sick name.
It's a great name.
It's Italian.
Yeah. It's Italian.
Tallarico.
Hey.
But your mother, she's Albanian? Is
No.
that true? Is that true?
No.
No, I'm sorry.
No, Armenian.
Armenian.
Yeah. Yeah, she's half Armenian. But she also denounced her. She had a rough upbringing. Okay. And she didn't like the way that she grew up. So when she left home at like 17, 18, she went from, her name was Kathleen Hatzikian. Mm-hmm. And when she left California, she's from Santa Monica, she went to New York City and became Serinda Fox. And that was the whole Warhol.
Yeah.
And she reinvented herself.
I see.
Wow.
But I never liked I didn't want to use Tyler, because that wasn't my thing. My dad made that name up. That was his name.
Right.
And then he had told me, though, at I think it was like 19, use Tyler because we don't want everybody to know Tallarico. This was also before the internet and before everybody knows everything. So he pushed me to use that, and I was like, okay, whatever. I don't care.
Right.
I've always just had that kind of like, whatever.
So those grandparents that Armenian, they were directly from Armenia?
I don't know my mom's side.
I was going to ask you, like.
So because she left,
and she was just like,
she just was like, peace, and had nothing. So her mom, I just found this out a couple years ago. Her mom was from like Virginia or something. So my mom's family lineage goes way back to Jefferson Davis, who's the president of the Confederate
Yeah, the
U.S.
Confederate.
Wow.
That's like my great uncle. They were like the Claytons of Virginia, the biggest slave owners in the South.
Holy
Just like
shit.
the worst. But then the flip side of that, my dad's side goes back. We ended up having, that's another story. My dad's side, my sister did one of those shows where it checks your lineage.
Okay.
And it goes back to, I'm going to mess all of this up because my brain doesn't work. But whatever we had.
On his side.
We had I guess he's our great grandfather, but he was from Africa, but he was half. So there was like a slave owner and his slave, and they got together and made a baby, and they made this guy.
Oh, okay.
And he was half, and then he went on to be in the first war.
Wow.
I'm messing all
It's
this
okay.
up.
You probably look it up.
Whatever all that stuff was, but
Yeah.
he was a drummer on the
Okay.
front line, and so they would send all of the black people on the front line first, and they were like, "Here you go," like.
Yeah.
And he was the drummer, and then after that war, it was like the bloodiest war. After that, he survived, and he went back and said that he was white, so he could fight, and went and fought in that war, and came out, and now there's like huge statues of him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have, whatever that lineage. So
That's,
I had
yeah.
both lineages on both sides that were a little crazy. I hit that.
You ever,
no, no,
you ever do 23andMe or anything like that?
I haven't. No.
Okay.
We get like people send us stuff
I'm
like,
sure.
oh, you're
Sure.
related and blah blah blah. But
I'm your cousin.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
like,
man,
sure
I
you
get
are.
so many of those. What was my whole point in all that though? I guess talking about my mom's family. Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
I
'cause
asked
she
you.
changed
Yeah,
her name
like
too.
if you knew
so
your
she left
grandparents.
them
Right.
and had nothing to do with
I
them.
see.
I met her mom one time when I was a little kid. Like
Oh,
she really
wow.
denounced everybody.
Wow.
And then, so I don't know. I
Okay.
think her dad is Armenian,
Okay.
and they were originally from like Rhode Island.
Ah.
Had a big store, made tons of money, and then somebody was like, "Hey, move out to California. That's where it's booming." They
Right.
sold their business, moved to California, and it just tanked. Like there was
Wow.
nothing.
see.
And then they got into motorcycles, and they were building motorcycles, and now they're like the Armenians down in I think like San Diego or something.
Oh wow.
So I don't know any about I don't know anything about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I looked his name up and I called him.
Oh, wow. Really?
Cold called him.
Yeah, I did. Like a couple years ago, I guess I was back in Massachusetts, so it must have been like 2011. And I just looked his number up and I just gave him a call and I talked to him for like an hour on the
Oh,
phone,
wow.
and we had made
Wow.
plans to like reconnect, but we never did.
Wow.
Interesting.
But-
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So okay, that's crazy. It's a lot of family.
I'm dropping a lot of stuff.
No, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to anybody in 2 years.
I don't mind.
Like,
I love talking. This is
We've
awesome.
really been quarantining. Like, we were living up in Laurel Canyon, so it was like
yeah.
secluded and quiet,
It's chill up
and
there.
it was great. I didn't leave or do anything for 2 years.
Well, thank
So
you for
this is the
coming
first
out.
time I'm having real
I
conversation.
love it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So how many years do you think you're modeling for? Like 5 years? Longer than that?
Oh man, 19 until I got married. Until I was married,
Okay.
and then that started to fizzle
Yeah.
because I had to focus on other people.
Yeah.
I had to forget about my life and focus on other people.
Were you kind of sober during the modeling because you came out of the rehab and then started
Yeah,
modeling?
I never, I just kind of moved out of it. It wasn't
Yeah.
like,
Because that's a party scene too, the modeling world
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
yeah, but the thing was, is I was flying to like, let's just
Yeah.
say like I would fly to England. I didn't have any friends there. I was just going
Oh,
there,
right,
To
right.
work.
sleeping, doing the job for a couple days and then leaving. So I would go
Yeah.
walk around at night by myself. And I love old history. So I would just stare at the cobblestone and, touch the buildings and feel the energy.
Yeah.
One of those kind of weird hippie things. That's what I like to do.
And
So
then
yeah, I
when-
didn't party really in
Yeah.
that scene.
And no music for you either. Like you know what to do with music when you were younger?
I love singing. And I remember coming to my dad when I was like 18 or something, and I was like, or 16, something like that. And I was like, Dad, I want to be a singer. And he was like, no, like you don't want to do that. And I just was like so defeated. And then, yeah, I was just bummed out. I never really had a push towards music. And that's why like with my son now, like we don't physically push him. We just play music. He likes it. Whatever he's into.
Yeah.
I'm going to put him into a musical school, but
100%.
I never really got a push. I got a push from my mom.
Yeah.
But my dad wasn't very present in my life that way as a kid, so I didn't get that side of it. I wish that I was, took piano more and learned instruments, and I didn't get that, and that bummed me out.
Yeah. What kind of singing would you do, you think? What kind of style?
I don't know. I just like singing. I sing with my kid all the time, and I always sing around the house. He's always singing too, so it's nice that we just vibe that way. We just make up little songs, but I don't know. I always loved it. I just never was put into that. And then every year I'd be like, I'm too old to do this, too old to do this, too old to do this. And now I'm, 43, and I'm like, I don't even have time to do that. So but I don't mind doing it at home. I don't think, I know I'm a good singer, but I don't think that everybody has to do what they're good at.
As a career.
Yeah. I don't need to do that as a career. I'm content in my life now. I've worked really hard to get to where I'm at. Yeah. And be content. Yeah. And I enjoy singing with my son. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you got married, did you leave New York?
I did. So my cut to my mom got diagnosed with brain cancer, and they said she's got 18 months to live. And I was a fucking mess still at that time. And I remember I got a Franzia box of wine, filled up a thermos. And I went, and I don't know where I ended up on, 9th Ave and 23rd Street, sitting on a mailbox, and I was just hammered, and I somehow called my ex-boyfriend, which I wish I hadn't, because he was stalking me at the time, and it was
shit.
And he brought me home, but I just found out that she had 18 months, and I just was in that moment, I was like, I need to put myself back into therapy right now, because if she dies, I'm going to have so much bullshit inside of me. Right. If I go to therapy right now, I've got a year and a half to talk about this stuff internally.
It's really mature of you that moment.
Thanks.
No, it's amazing to make that decision. You know what I mean?
I've also been in therapy since I was 6, so I was well aware of the possibilities that therapy gives you for a better life.
No, for sure.
I mean, that's got to be so intense. And so did you notice a change with your mother as far as her attitude,
once she got sick?
Once she got sick.
So growing up, her biggest thing was she was in love with my dad, and I never knew the full story. I only knew her side, and it wasn't until she died that I started putting the pieces together. But she was so in love with him, and it didn't make sense, because she'd always talk about how she had to leave him, and I was like, as I got older and understood love and emotions and relationships, I started putting it together. But she was just so heartbroken over him. She loved him so much, and all she ever wanted was for him to take care of her. And then cut to, she's got cancer, and he really did step up, and he did take care of her. He paid for her rent. She was living at the Gramercy Park Hotel. Right. I still have the key.
Wow.
Room 1420.
Wow.
I know they redid it, so it's not the same anymore, but that's where she died too. So he really stepped up and took care of her. She was on chemo and all that, so he bought her weed so she could eat, because she had no desire to eat. Yeah. He paid for her food. He paid for her little bedroom, 1-bedroom Gramercy Park Hotel room. Yeah. I don't know if you were ever there, but it was.
No, I know that. Yeah.
It was a shithole. It was very old and smelled like time, but yeah, he finally, he stepped up and he took care of her, and I think that was just a beautiful way to go out. Yes. But I forget, what was my point?
And did she live for the 18 months, or was
she did? It was to the day, 18 months.
Wow, man.
And it was, for me, I love, like I said, I love history. I love watching things. I'm a people watcher. Yeah. And to see that go from, in 18 months, a year and a half, to go from how we are right now to a complete invalid who's bloated and laying in a bed, can't go to the bathroom. It's just so trippy to watch. And it's very humbling, because it's like, oh shit, this could happen to any of us right now. Yeah. So and as I was watching that with her, I was also dealing with my own things, and I still had a lot of hate for her. So I was being there, but I wasn't fully there. She had my cousin, and my mom had a boyfriend at the time that was helping to take care of her. But
how old was she?
50 when she died.
Wow, man, it's fucking young, man.
But so I was also dealing with my own demons. But she was always she would have these bursts of negativity and anger, because she was still holding on to the past. Yeah. Yeah. And even when she was like laying in bed and like not really conscious, she was still having bouts of that. So I was hoping that wherever she was going to next, she would find some sort of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I hope
She really, I don't necessarily believe in like next lives and all that
Yeah.
stuff, but I do believe in the energy, and I think our energy goes back into the universe and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I do believe that she, obviously all that got released and let go,
Yeah.
but it's weird to watch.
Yeah.
And then I was dealing with my own demons, and I also released things
Sure.
when she died.
Yeah.
And I had met my ex-husband through like this MTV thing. Papa Roach was performing.
Yeah. I've written down you were doing some VJ and stuff. House of Style?
Oh, that was way before.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that they were doing
There's something else.
they had
though.
like an icon show, and so
Okay.
it was like Aerosmith was the band,
Okay.
and then different bands would come and perform their songs.
Yeah.
And Papa Roach was sitting right behind me, and I actually was like having the hots for Kobe because he's tattooed, and like I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And then his drummer got
Drummers.
to me. Drummers.
fucking drummers.
I know.
man.
I should have known.
So that's when you guys met that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
so that's
awesome.
how I met them.
Wow.
And then that was just a very tumultuous. Is that the word?
That's a good word. That's a pretty good word,
It was
actually.
a very crazy time of my life.
Mm.
Yeah, that was wild.
Because they're from like up north here, right?
Sacramento.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went there?
Vacaville. Yeah.
You lived in Sacktown.
I went from New York City to
Wow.
Sacramento.
And how long were you married for?
Whew, 4 years.
Okay.
4 or 5. Yeah, we got married in 2003.
And you done modeling at that time?
I stopped while I was with him because
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
couldn't maintain. There was a lot of substance in that relationship.
So you're back on that world. Okay.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Okay.
They were,
I was hanging out and doing stuff, but I
Yeah.
wasn't doing the extent of what was going on in the relationship. And it was
Mhm.
just really hard for me to take care of myself and take care of someone else. And then I didn't really have family at the time anymore. My mom had just died, and I
Oh,
just was
man.
like,
It's heavy.
I was lost, and I went out there and I just dove headfirst into his family. And then it was one of those typical things where all of a sudden I had no relationship with my family. I had no friends. I was secluded in Sacramento. I was dealing with a lot of abuse, drugs, and all that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
stuff, and a little physical stuff. And it just was. It was very intense. And I love Kobe, and
Yeah.
he was always my favorite. We were always really close. And he was always there for me in a way that was nice. But
yeah.
it was just a wild time. But
It
I was
sounds
also
like
in my
it.
young 20s, so
I know. Yeah, I know.
I had to go through that.
And you're still doing stuff like you hosted Celebrity Fit Club.
I did. That was the last thing I did in the entertainment world, just
Really?
because I was on that show. Because they were like,
And you're in Rush Hour 3 too.
yeah.
I love that movie.
No,
Okay,
but I was like living in Sacramento. Husband was on tour, and I was there by myself.
Yeah,
and
no
I was
friends and no
I was just
family.
eating. I was doing nothing. We had this big house, and like I was just like doing nothing. Gained a bunch of weight, and then VH1 called, and they were like, "How would you like $100,000 to come do this show
Yo.
in LA every other week or something? Fly down." And I was like, "Okay," and you get to lose weight, and I was like, "Sign me up."
Paid 100 G's to lose weight. That's amazing.
Yeah, so
Jesus.
I did
deal.
that, and it was great. The only thing, it was, it's reality TV. It was at the beginning of all that stuff, so it was like Daniel Baldwin was on there, and he was a mess. But I got to meet Biz Markie. He was on it with me, and
Rest in peace, Biz Markie.
I love that man.
That's amazing.
That was my best friend on that show. I loved him.
Really?
He was great. That is like, he's the nicest man on the planet.
Did your son watch Yo Gabba Gabba?
No,
Okay.
I tried.
Because he was on there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. He
That's cool.
wasn't.
So Biz Markie was on. Who else was on there?
Wendy, the Snapple lady, who's still my friend. I love her.
Oh shit! I
She
remember
is
her,
the-
dude.
She's so great. I love her. Who
She's
else
still
was
your
on-
homie from then?
Yep.
Wow.
Really, that's cool.
That's so cool.
Who else was on? One of the
look that
guys from The
shit up. What?
Sopranos.
Which
A
guy?
little guy. Shit.
Little guy.
My boyfriend's gonna be so mad. 'cause
Big
we're-
Pussy?
No.
No.
The one that was given BJ's or getting the BJ.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Yeah.
I love him.
What
he was
his name?
fucking
I
amazing.
forget. He was great.
He moved to like Vermont or somewhere in the show, and he tried to escape. They're gonna get him. Remember?
Yeah.
I love.
He was
him.
great.
I loved the way he
What's
walked.
a pussy? No.
No,
he
no.
reminded me like the penguin.
What was his name?
Oh,
The movie. I don't know. He was great though.
He was great. I can't remember who
Did he
else
lose
was-
weight on that? He did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Who else was?
That's fire.
Oh God, I'm gonna mess up her name. I can't remember her name.
Well,
But she was great too.
people can Google the show.
Yeah.
Did you lose weight?
I did. I lost a ton of weight. It was great, but it was, it was reality TV, so it's, a whole lot of BS. But I got a paycheck and
fucking 100 G's, man. That's fucking sick.
yeah. So
you're doing that. That's great.
I did that, and then I stopped. After that, I stopped doing anything in the entertainment industry. You know what it was? I went back to New York to do something, and I was in what's that little diner? There's a little diner on 8th Street and Broadway.
8th Street and Broadway.
I forget what it's called, but they had. I was just sitting in there, and I was eating, and I remember I was eating, and I looked up.
Around the clock? No, that's not
no.
Okay.
I loved Around the Clock.
That was fucking bomb. We still go after my wife got work.
I was gonna say every time we'd get fucked up, we would just go there and eat.
I'm trying to think what down is over there.
I forget. It's still there.
By Astor Place, past over that area.
It's
by the
past.
barbershop.
It's on Broadway, but
that was your spot.
But I was in there eating, and I look up. I was with Ori.
Okay.
And we're eating, and I just see this girl with like a telephoto lens taking my picture, and I was like, "What? Yeah. Like, this is the moment. This is what I don't like about celebrity is that you're sitting there eating. I was eating a veggie burger." And I was worried because I was a vegan at that time, and I was like, "Oh my God, everybody's gonna think I'm eating meat," because it was before the world now of vegan food, whatever. But and that's what I was mortified is that picture was gonna come out, and everybody's gonna think I was eating meat or something stupid like that. But in that moment, I was like, I am so done with this world. Like I didn't want any of it. I just was over it.
Wow. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that was really it.
Fuck.
That stupid fucking girl and her telephoto lens.
And then you released a book in 2008, Creating Myself.
Yeah, that was later.
Yeah. Have you did more books since then?
No.
Do you want to do more?
I was going to.
You have such an amazing story, man. We're not even through the whole thing yet. It's just like crazy.
You know what it is? Anything that happened after that, there was like, a lapse in time where nothing exciting happened, and I just was like,
you were living,
but it was like nothing to talk about in a book. Like I moved back east, and then I got my old apartment back in New York. I'd been renting it out for like 10 years or something.
So back to New York. Okay.
Yeah. So I moved back to New York. I got my apartment back, and I just was like hanging out. And then I met my son's father. And so if I do write a book, it's going to be predominantly that, because my life did change when I had my kid.
Sure.
And there's no way to explain. Everybody wants to hear the truth and what happened with my relationship, and I've never really openly just said what it is. And I don't know how to convey that story without putting attention on him.
Yeah.
Because it's not deserved.
Yeah.
And I don't know how yet to work it so it's a positive. I mean, I know how to work it that it's a positive thing, but I don't know how to express that part without expressing
having negative aspects to it and the real truth.
And I'm so fucking positive now. Like everything is great. Like my friends were like, "Oh, why are you going to do that?" And I was like, "Because that's what that's what your whole life is." And
totally.
like I was like, because that's where I'm at right now.
It's awesome.
And I've been here for a couple of years, so it's a great place. I don't want to go back to that bullshit, but I also, the other flip side of that is I always border on, well, who am I? Who the fuck am I? Just because I was born to these people, my dad's famous, and I have a hard time with like, the ego box. Like, who am I to go on social media and tell people how to live their lives? Like, I can explain my life and what happened to me and how I got to where I am, but I don't ever want to seem like I'm pushing an agenda on people.
Yeah, you can lead by example.
So that's what I try to do, but I don't know how to express, like, I don't think I want to write a book. That was like a hard time in my life. I had to remember every fucking detail, and it was like,
yeah.
And I have social media now, but even that I'm like so tired of, because it's just,
it's
a bunch of BS.
Draining.
But I do wish that I could share my story. I just don't know how to do it yet, I guess.
Yeah, maybe
but at the same time,
yeah.
It's like, I don't want to sit here and say like, this, and this happened to me.
Yeah.
Because it's not my place to tell my side of the story. Even
because there's two sides, somebody else's side.
There are two sides.
Yeah.
And even with the crappy things he did, like, there's still his point of view. So it's not fair of me to put it out in the world, my side, when he also has a voice. And I'm trying to be nice because he's not in my son's life, but I'm trying to just be nice and not say anything.
From what I
at
see
all.
online, you're a badass, amazing mother.
Yeah, I am, and I love that. I had no idea.
It changed
I
your
had
life
no
100
idea.
million%. Like it's beautiful.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
Son seems awesome, and
It's great.
I met him a couple of years ago. He was 1 year old, I think. Or,
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing, cute, awesome kid. And
Yeah, so that's why I don't want to go back there. I like living where I'm at, and I everybody, I got asked to do a podcast. I bought all the equipment. I have all of this.
Oh, you
stuff,
do your own podcast? Okay.
but I just couldn't. I mean, I spent like thousands of dollars on
What?
equipment, and it's in storage right now. But
Wow.
I just don't. I'm still trying to figure out, I guess, my voice in the world right now. My new voice.
Yeah.
Which I am every day finding more and more depth to.
Yeah.
Like I just had something happen recently, and I really found inner power and inner voice that I didn't know I had, and I was forced to use it, and now I'm like using it nonstop, and it feels so good, and I had no idea it was inside of me. So
that's amazing.
yeah, but so I don't want to go back to that place, and I don't think necessarily telling my story is going to help anybody. It might. Another girl might be like, okay, yeah, that happened to me too, but
Right.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's fair to put that out there. I also don't want my son to know everything.
Yeah.
It's just,
This all goes back to you not wanting your whole life in the public and not like the
Right.
fame and like all that. So you live like a normal life. And
I've been forced to say a couple things because there was a minute on social media where this other person was blasting things that were just so untrue. And I was like,
yeah.
everybody that knows me knows my circle, knows the truth. So I just like a couple times I'll just like throw in, but then I was like, I don't want to play this game where I'm like,
especially online, the public
it's
too.
so annoying. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I finally have gotten out of that space, and I'm just, I have a great relationship with my ex's mom. She just came out here. She was just here for
awesome.
a week. Grandma comes out once a month, once
That's
a year.
great.
She's been FaceTiming my son every week since he was born.
That's amazing. That's what matters. That's
I have a great relationship with his family, so that's all that matters. You know, I got full custody, sole, physical, no visitation, all of that. So
amazing.
I always say like I'm keeping my son safe.
Yeah.
And if I look like the bad guy to those other people, then so be it. But my son's gonna grow up so good.
That's fucking amazing, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
That's
you gotta
incredible.
break those generational curses, and I'm breaking mine, and I'm also trying to break my son's father's.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I will do anything to do that.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah. It's super important.
And you have a new man in your life, so
I
you
do.
have it's
Yeah.
awesome.
But that was also the dominoes had fallen in the wrong direction. Now they're just falling in the right direction. And once I let go of trying to force things, I literally just zenned myself out. Yeah. It's funny. My sister says she's never seen me so zen. My little sister Chelsea, as when I was in labor. I was in the hospital, and I was like Buddha, just like
wow.
And I had my son. He came out in 2 minutes, and it was just like,
wow.
How many hours in labor were you? Remember?
I was induced, so I went in on a Monday. Monday night, they started giving me Pitocin, what all that stuff is, and then I had him Wednesday morning at like 5:45 a.m. So
awesome.
A day and a half. But yeah, once he came out, and nothing else mattered, and it took a couple years to, I was still living in New York with my ex, and once I got away from that, some stuff happened where I had to leave. I left when my son was 10 months. We came out here to California. That's where I met you. We were living in Venice, and we just, then after that, we found a house in Laurel Canyon, and it was calm and great. And we just lived the last 4 years. We just listed it on the market. So it's for sale, man. But we just spent 4 years of like, half of that was pandemic, but I just let go of trying to force anything. And I don't believe in God like per se, but I do believe in the universe and letting things just happen and putting, your intentions out and getting the right answers and being okay with it not being maybe in your favor.
Oh, yeah.
Completely letting go. And I did that. And I've just, for 4 years, was doing that. And
I love that.
It's led to, we're selling our house now for way over. I got a wonderful man.
How did you guys meet?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Really because
it's so funny because I asked him. I said
couldn't be easy because you're like
Dave
you're not
Buckner.
going out.
Oh God, no.
You're not going out. You're not meeting a lot of people,
So,
and you have a kid.
Well, what's his name? Is that the wrong name I said?
That's my ex-husband.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ew.
I was
like, why are you yelling at me?
I'm
His
sorry.
name?
I know.
I thought that this new guy's name. I wrote it down wrong. I'm
No.
sorry. I'll take that out the pod.
No, his name's Joe.
I'll take it the pod.
It's funny because before I came over here,
I didn't mean to say that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I'll take it off.
I said to him, I said, is there anything you don't want me to say? I said, because I'm going here openly. Whatever you ask me, I'm prepared to answer.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever do this. And I was like,
I'm
let
excited.
this be the one where I just
It's be very therapeutic.
blah, barf. No, so
How did you meet him?
I actually met Joe. We used to date in New York 7 years ago.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And I met him and we were totally in love. We both were in different places. He was doing other stuff. I was doing other stuff.
Yeah.
And I wasn't looking for the right person, I guess. Like I wasn't trying to settle down. Neither was he.
Yeah.
But he's great. He's a Marine. He's a chef. He has a great
Super
family.
baller. All right.
Yeah, great family. And he's just, we always loved the same music. And it was just great.
So where
And
is he from? He's from back there?
He's from New York. Yeah.
Okay,
He's from
sick.
Long Island. So
Long Island. That's
Strong
awesome.
Island.
Strong Island.
Yeah.
lived in Queens for a long time.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so
Awesome.
we stopped hanging out and I met my son's father. So then that happened. But
Yeah.
we always kind of stayed in touch a little bit. Even after my son was born, he wrote me. And then once the quarantine, like literally right when quarantine, New York was really bad.
Yeah, it was
and
gnarly.
I think the whole world, we all just didn't know what was going on. And I thought the world was ending. The only thing I could do was protect my son and my house and make sure that we were safe. And then Joe slid into the DMs and and just
Nice.
That's real
Nice.
shit. Too.
yeah, but he was also reevaluating his life.
Yeah.
And we just always had loved each other. Even
Yeah.
after we stopped dating, he'd always been like the one that got away. And I was always his one that got away. And so
wow.
when the
That's
world,
beautiful.
we thought the world was fucking ending.
Right.
And we were like, and then he wanted to come see me. And I was like, no, you're in New York. Because at that time, New York
What's that?
was on fire
Yeah.
Totally.
with COVID. And I was like, and he
Ground
was
zero.
so sweet. He was going to rent, we talk about it all the time. He was going to rent an RV that was used in a Danny Trejo movie that somebody was renting on their property in the driveway, and he was going to go quarantine for the whatever 15 days it was at first.
wow.
And he was going to live in this little Danny Trejo trailer
No way.
to get my love.
Oh, that's amazing, man.
But then I caved and I just was like, just fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll get COVID for you. And he came out, and then we've been together ever since that night.
That's
he came
incredible.
out. Yeah. And then he stayed for a month and a half and then went back to New York, got rid of his house in Queens that he's had for 10 years, all of his stuff,
Wow.
drove his little Jeep,
Sacrificing.
got in his Jeep with a bag and like a box, and he lives here now. And we've
What a
been,
G.
It's been a couple
That's
years.
incredible,
He's an
man.
awesome dude. He really is. He really is like, he sets the
That's
bar.
some real shit when somebody sacrifices shit like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just get rid of
Yeah.
everything and just be
That's
who
what
they
it is
want.
though. Like to be able to give stuff up for someone else in a positive way, that was a huge thing for me because he's so used to his life, and he just gave up everything.
That's real.
Every
That's
fucking
real.
thing to come be with me, who was
Yeah.
a single mom with a little kid. I had a
Right.
2-year-old at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's a
really-
lot when he
yeah.
doesn't know kids either. So
Yeah.
it's been a progression over the last couple of years of getting used to everything. We also still were in a pandemic. We went back east for a couple months. Now we came back, and then we're selling our house.
Yeah.
We're in a rental in Hollywood, which nobody should ever do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are.
It's amazing. I'm super happy for you. I mean,
Yeah.
you're in a good place and you deserve to be happy.
Everybody wants that love story or that, the crescendo of good things.
Yeah.
And I'm here to say that it can happen. You just have to let go. You really have
And
to
let
let
it
go.
happen, not force it, like you're
That's
saying.
what I mean.
Let
You
it come in,
let it
in.
go, and you obviously fight for the things that you need to, but you can't force things in life. You
Yeah.
have to just take ownership of the things that you've done and make peace with those, and then move forward.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love
I'm
that.
a little privileged. I do have things that make it a little bit easier sometimes, but at the end of the day, I think that we all can agree that you can't force things.
No, I totally agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I just want to put out that I'm not forcing anything whatsoever, but I do want to say that Derek Green is newly single. I'm just putting it out there. He sings in Sepultura. He's going to be on tour around the whole world. He's a sweet, amazing fucking human with an incredible voice.
Stop it!
And he's a compassionate, loving man. I just want to say he's single. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm sorry.
No, that's a great thing.
I just got to do that for you.
Thank you.
Because I know you're on those silly apps, but this is better.
I'm off of the silly apps.
That's true friendship right there.
This is better. This is
Really
better
is.
than an app, homie.
Right. No, I agree. I
Okay.
prefer meeting people face to face.
Don't do apps.
Yeah,
My best friend does
got off
apps.
of the apps.
Yeah.
I'm off. Yeah.
However, I will say this: my other best friend,
Right.
he runs the Look at This Russian. Have you followed
Look
that?
at this Russian
What?
now.
I know you guys have talked. I think like Josh Brolin's way into it and stuff like that.
Okay.
But that's one of my best friends that runs that account. If you don't know
Okay,
it,
I'm
you should
looking-
follow it. It's the best.
Okay,
on
I'm looking at it.
Instagram.
I'm looking
Look
at
at this
that.
Russian. But he's met some super babes like on the apps. So
yeah. But the thing, it doesn't
super babes.
No. There are. Don't get me wrong, but for the type of personality that I am, I'm
Right.
not the typical like app person. You'd be like, oh,
Right.
this guy's been in a band for 20 years, lived in Brazil, blah blah blah, plays in a metal band,
Right.
And then people are like, in my same
In
age
Los
group,
Angeles?
in Los
Yeah.
Angeles, where they're on some serious LA
Andy's
shit.
52.
And he's like 51, and it's so, like in the mind of like a typical American who's in their 50s. I'm just saying it's not.
Yeah, but
I'm not-
50s is different now.
you would think
50s,
so.
like I think about when my mom was
Yeah,
50.
yeah, I
and I was
know.
like,
No.
It's young.
I agree.
I'm
You know,
52.
but
Yeah.
there's still like I went to a class reunion. And I was like, yo,
oh, I bet.
yo. Not. I mean, I love my classmates, but it was like, what's
Yeah.
going on? It was really like shocking in a way. I'm like, oh my god, I think music keeps you young.
It does, and let's keep
you know,
100.
living in that rock and roll.
We are not
Yeah.
typical mature 52-year-olds.
No.
We still look like we look. We play music that's not normal music,
Right.
and we're like big kids.
Yes.
So it's like not like
so
a.
it's different.
But that's because you guys aren't forcing this alternate lifestyle. If
Right.
you look
True.
at those people
Exactly.
at your class reunion, I'm sure they're all like, suit and ties, going
yeah,
to these shitty jobs with these shitty families that they probably wish they didn't have. You guys are actually living authentically.
Right.
So you just
Thank
need
you.
to find an authentic gal.
No,
Because you have an authentic gal.
Yes, I
Right.
do.
I have an authentic guy.
Yeah.
That's all it is just trying to find somebody that's authentic and not a bullshitter. Because
Yeah,
everybody is
I
a
know.
fucking bullshitter.
It's difficult, especially in LA, because
Yeah.
it's like
I can't
people
imagine being single in LA.
No.
I
bro.
know. I never
can't.
imagined it either, and then it happened. I was like, oh my god, no! Because I mean, it was just so many people come here. Like to be, like I want to
Somebody.
be famous. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to. I'm
Just
not.
like she was talking about.
Yeah, it's like I don't care.
We
about
just do
that.
what we do. We do what we love. and
Yeah,
that's
I was
it.
like, that's going to be the most important thing, especially as you get older. It's like your looks and beauty and all that stuff.
Let me
and
ask you
the
this, though.
idea of beauty.
Is there, just because this has
Okay.
happened to me,
All right.
I had Joe, who was a past lover, and we were we remained friendship. But is there someone in your life that's been your friend that maybe you never would have noticed?
and thought about it in that way.
Yeah, that you were like, holy shit! Wait, you know what?
She's been right here the whole time.
Yeah, because that I find
That's true.
that happens a lot more, especially now since the pandemic. People are like their minds have thought,
Yeah.
their minds have changed, and they're thinking differently about what real love is and authenticity. And is there someone in your life that maybe does that for
No,
you?
because I haven't been living in the U.S.
Oh,
So it's like
where have you been living?
Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Oh
For,
shit!
for 20 years.
Oh.
I'm not going to
wow.
blow it up on the pod. We'll talk after. I think there's a person, but I can't say.
Oh,
I just think so in my mind. I'm not going to say.
I think it's in your mind alone.
I'm not going to
but-
say. But I do want to say that me and my wife were best friends before anything happened. She was dating other dudes. I was dating other girls. She lived in my
Yeah.
apartment in Jersey City in her own little room, like a 3-bedroom. She was just renting. She was there the whole time, dude. And then I fucking
didn't.
realized when it was almost too late.
you guys
Yeah.
are my favorite love story, though.
Thank you.
I have to say though, during the pandemic I was bored, and I love watching people's lives vicariously through social media, and yours is always one of my favorites
Thank
because
you.
I love your kid, I love your wife, I love you. Your dog is fucking awesome. Your house is awesome. Like nobody ever has anything bad to say about you. And
Thank
it's
you.
just it's nice to know there's other people in this world, but I really enjoyed watching your love story, and when you
thank you.
post about
It's gonna make me
her
cry
and-
and shit. Thank you.
no, I really love that. Like I finally watched True Romance because of you guys.
Yes.
Oh,
And
It's amazing,
I
right?
named my dog Alabama.
What?
because of that.
Yo,
but that was because you were
how
always
dope is that
posting it.
movie,
I was
though?
like, you know what? I have to watch this. And it is. It's great.
James Gandolfini's first movie.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
But I
That's good.
I
That's
have
amazing.
to say, like, I love, you guys have such a great story.
Thank you. She's gonna make me emo. She's making me emo on my own podcast.
But
now.
you haven't
Thank
been
you.
here that long, so you need to give it a chance.
I'm
Things
open
are
to
just
that.
opening again.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely open to that. I'm in a good place. You know, I'm not going to complain. I mean, so I want to get back to more about you.
Well,
I'm trying to get you to find love.
but
No, I think it will happen.
I don't want to change it to a negative. I said, but I do love how open you are on your Instagram about depression
yeah.
and just speaking out, talking about anxiety, just all that stuff.
I had
Be an open
depression.
book.
I had depression as a kid, like a teen. I
Yeah.
think we all do. But I had a real bout of depression just a couple years ago, like to the point where I was laughing about it because I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I feel like I'm 15 again. So when I moved out here, I didn't have custody. We didn't have anything. I just left, and I just was like, "We're not together anymore." I want to protect my son. And I also had to get him a passport. I had to get permission from somebody that I have no connection with.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't want to have to get permission from somebody that's not in my son's life
Yeah.
to get a passport or like
Yeah.
doctors, all that stuff. So I filed for custody and I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was so terrified. I just was afraid. I don't know what I was afraid of, but I just was
It's
like,
a big deal to do that. Yeah.
I'm just trying to protect my son and
Just
protect
not
me.
knowing,
And and I just, excuse me, there was like 3 months. So we filed and I just instantly was like,
She had to wait 3 months.
yeah, because I already have anxiety, but I was just like, my kid, I just put him, I think, into like his first kind of school. He was 2. And so it was the first time I also had separation anxiety.
All right.
Yeah.
It was just him and I.
Yeah.
I mean, I still haven't spent a night away from him ever in 5 years, but
It's amazing.
to put him in school, I'd put him in school. He's only there for a couple hours and I'd sit outside his school and cry. I would just cry because I missed him.
That's
was the only
incredible,
person I
man.
had. So he was
Damn.
at school and then I would come home and I would just get in bed and I would cry and I would watch TV and I would just eat. And I was like, blackout curtains and just laying in bed. And then I'd get up to go pick him up from school. And that was the only interactions I had in life. And then my sister and her husband came over. My sister Chelsea and her husband John came over, and they were like going. She was trying to get a dress or something, and John walked in, and I was like, John, I'm depressed, and I laughed about it, and he just like kind of stared at me, and I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, I'm like really depressed, like 15-year-old, like I want to cut myself again, like sadness. I mean, I would never do that, but I was really sad and just really upset. And I had to sit and wait, and you file for custody and you give them, I think that you get like 2 months or something to respond.
The longest 2 months ever. Yeah.
Not a word. So we gave him an extra 30 days. So it was 3 months. And I just was like,
Bruh.
my nails digging into everything, just terrified. And I won custody. My lawyer called me one day and was like, we won. And I just cried and cried and
That's
cried. And
incredible,
it started to go away. But I think the anxiety and the fear and everything.
Not knowing, yeah.
Yeah. And that I also, as much as I've learned to let go and just, let the universe, I've also shed fear. After leaving that relationship, I was like, I'm never going to be afraid ever again. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm afraid that whatever is going to happen. So that was the first time I had fear again in my life, like to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
And it was insane. It was like the most insane thing. I mean, I also had postpartum too after my son.
Which is super real, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people don't believe in it, and it's crazy until you're actually in it. I didn't even know I was having it or in it. I found myself in the emergency room with a brand new baby because I was suffering from exhaustion and all this stuff. And like, I'm in there by myself in Brooklyn.
Wow, dude.
In the emergency room with a brand new baby. I had no formula. I had no nothing for him. And it was just like.
So how soon does postpartum come after the baby? Like,
So I felt it the day I had him. So you go to the hospital and you've got all these people kissing your butt. You got all the nurses and the doctors. And then my dad showed up. So that added another level of like everybody kissing your butt.
Right.
And then after you have your kid, they send you up to the mommy and me room where you're just on your own to like take care of your baby. And they all left.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they leave you. So the nurse just comes in to show you how to breastfeed or brush the baby's head. Like,
wow, man.
But everybody left. And it was the first minute where I was like, I'm here alone. And my partner at the time was there who was not really there.
Right.
So I was like, holy shit, I'm fucking alone. And I just looked down at this baby and I was like, in that moment, I just snapped and I was like, it's me and you, buddy. It is me and you, little baby buddy. And that was the first time I felt it. Because that's what postpartum is. It's like, I did an art show years ago. And there was like so much buildup. It took me 6 months to do this whole show. We went down to Miami for Art Basel. It was a whole big deal. And then the next day when I woke up, it was over. And I think that's really what it is. Like for me, for postpartum, it was just like, and I had that same feeling when I had my son that next day. And I was like, where is everybody?
Yeah.
Where's this buildup? And then now they're just like, here, go home.
Isn't that crazy? it's
I mean, it's mind blowing because there are a lot of people that have kids and they're not, they're not explained anything.
No, they don't tell you anything.
Anything, except in certain countries where they do this. It's like Sweden and France. And they have people that come to your house, help you, make sure that you're doing it properly. And I was like, that is so important.
Yeah.
And they give mom a year off after that.
They give mom a year off and the father.
Paid.
And the father.
Father too, you're right.
And so they come to your house. They make sure that you're doing things properly. Any questions because you're on your own and that's the toughest job in the world.
Insane,
and I also had a person in my life that I was like, what the fuck, dude?
Right.
Seriously, really?
Yeah.
Like I had to I remember I walked to Whole Foods. I was living on 2nd Street in between A and B.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had to walk to Whole Foods to get my kid formula. And I just had my kid and I had him in a stroller. I remember being in there and this mom turned to me and she's like, did you have him vaginally or C-section? And I was like, vaginal. And she's like, and you're up walking right now? And I was like, I have to because I have a person in my life that's not helping me.
Jesus,
and I had to walk, it's a fair walk to the Whole Foods on Houston. So
my wife had to wear I was going to say it. I can take it off on. She had wear a diaper.
I was wearing. I was doing
That's
that.
wrong.
I had to do all that, and
you're the next day walking to Whole Foods.
Well, it wasn't the next day. It was like a couple days.
But still, that's fucking insane.
But I just was like, holy shit! I'm all alone all of a sudden here with this brand new baby, and I'm also trying to fend off this vulture that's next to me. It was wild.
It's crazy enough having a partner to walk out of the hospital with by yourself. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
There, what's funny? There was paparazzi. So weird. I don't know how. And they have pictures of my son's father handing me my purse, and I've got my kid on in the little car seat.
Wow.
Because he was going to leave, and went and got drunk at work or whatever his work was.
Wow, man.
And I just remember sitting upstairs, and I was like, most people would say oh my God, I'm here alone with this baby. I don't know what to do. And I just remember thinking it's okay. I'm glad it's just him and the baby, because I don't want to have to deal with that. Yeah. So it was, it was wild. They just give you a kid. And
it's
they're
crazy.
Here.
The crazy thing for me is, seeing my wife, best friend, all of a sudden 24 hours become a mom. And all of a sudden she's breastfeeding. I'm cutting the cord. And it's holy shit. Now we're parents and we're crying. It's so fucking emo. And then the next day, whatever. Here's your baby. Good luck with this thing. Take it out into the world. You know what I mean? And then for me, the first couple of months is just what do? I'm the diaper changer.
Right.
She's breastfeeding. What is my job? I don't feel like there's no connection there yet. It's all about my wife right now, the baby. What am I? I'm hitting here.
I think, I believe in some old school stuff, but I think the relationship. So I think from 0 to 3, the man's job as a dad is to just take care of the mom. And then when the kid turns 3, when the kid turns 3, that's when you start having a relationship with the kid more, because men, I don't know how to say this. I'm not trying to be offensive, but we're more nurturing. We want, the on the breast, and and men are more hands on. What can I do?
I'm changing the diapers.
And I think that we as women, we expect men to know how to take care of the baby. We just because we don't know either, but there's a different nurturing thing that women have, and I fully believe that 0 to 3 is all about the moms and the babies.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
My boyfriend came in right when my son was just turning 3, and I was like, dude, you are so lucky right now.
Right on time.
Because it's
true.
perfect and now they're at home playing video games right now,
Yeah.
and they have the best relationship because he's been around since he was, turned 2 to 3, and it's just perfect.
It's a perfect time.
Nobody ever told me about that sleep deprivation that you have to go through.
Oh, I'm just now getting sleep.
It's just I never appreciated sleep much more
Yeah.
until after that.
Yeah.
I was
Totally.
just like, nobody said anything about like up, okay,
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
again, and it's
Because they have
Oh
to
my
eat every
God.
2
You
hours.
take
and
shifts and shit,
Yeah,
all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's that? I don't know anything about that.
Oh yeah,
I
you know,
mean,
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. I'm so glad you guys
the
got to do
shifts
that.
was like, hey, it's your time.
Yeah.
Get up.
My favorite thing is going on tour for like we did like 9 weeks with Hazen Street because
Oh,
Max
yeah.
was born.
Your
I walk
time.
in the door. Here you go. Here's your fucking son.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to the spa or whatever. Like,
Yep.
all right, I respect it. It's but you, it's just
I
you
give a
handing it
lot
off to
of-
you.
Yeah.
I give a lot of respect to single moms because,
Me too.
you know, my sister just had my little sister Chelsea just had her second baby. And so now she just leveled the fuck up. Like, I don't know anything about 2 kids.
Yeah.
But she used to always say, like, I don't know how you do it. And I said, I didn't have a choice. When
Just
you're
did
in
it.
a couple, you guys have a choice because you can just, you know,
I know,
you
hand
do
over.
it, she does it, you do it, she does it.
There's a
But when
plan.
you're a single parent, single male, single dad or single mom, like, you don't have a choice. There's zero choice. You just go.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I think about my mom, even though as much as my mom gets on my nerves, I love you, Mom. After my dad died, my mom was raising 3 boys by herself, working like 3 different jobs, pushing us
Boys.
off to the grandparents on the weekend. I'm like, yo, that's no fucking
Yeah,
joke. Because
that
just
is no
having
joke.
one.
Well, it ages you too.
Yeah.
Like I try to tell everybody, like, I see pictures of me just from the last 3 years, and like, I am also 43, so I'm aging. But having kids ages you. It really, because you sleep deprived, you're not properly nutrition,
Yeah.
you're not taking care of your body. Like, I just started getting back into like a washing my face regimen and like taking
my
care of
hair.
myself, like not buying shitty shampoo from CVS, like trying to like give back to myself.
Yeah, take care of you.
Yeah, so I'm just now I woke up at 7:30 today, which is, you know, my kid,
Nice.
I mean, I'll be like, just go watch your iPad in bed for a little
Yeah.
bit, and I get that extra half hour,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I just now started getting sleep at 5. He's 5, so. He's also a boy, he's a little easier.
He's a boy.
You think
I
boy,
think-
yeah,
You think-
boys easier?
Yeah.
All right.
Girls,
Okay.
I think, are more like needy.
Oh, I
no?
have a boy.
I don't know.
Oh,
I have
oh,
a
I
boy.
know.
Yeah, I don't
you
know.
too.
I only have
And
a
you do
boy,
too,
but
we all
I-
boys,
but
so
my
it's
brother
like-
has 2 girls, twins.
Oh.
I mean, I think boys have way more energy and more
I
snazzy.
just
but
noticed
don't
Not
know.
the boy,
mine.
like-
My kid is like
Chill?
He's so
Really?
chill.
Oh man.
Yeah.
He's like,
Yo.
okay, mommy. He's great.
My son's he's all over the place. He's got he's outside a lot. Which
He's
is
so
good.
handsome.
Thank
He's
you.
you really
it's from his mom.
created like the most beautiful child.
Thank
It's
you.
crazy. I remember he was doing all that modeling. He did
I
was
know.
it the MAC campaign
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something?
He's doing more now.
And I
That's
was
what he's
like-
doing now. It's crazy.
I was so like that was one of the things that I loved, that you guys were really immersing yourself into letting him be
And I
do
was
whatever
proud of
he
him for that
wanted.
too. That
I
was-
know.
people
He's not my kid, and I was proud of him. And
people
I was
would
like,
DM him such evil things and was saying shit
Wow, really?
when he did like the thing for Divine
Oh,
for
he
the
looked
Cap
so
on D.
great.
He looked amazing, and he was like 9 or something. Like kids were teasing him at school. He doesn't give a fuck though. He just did. I thought it was like that was an
That's cool
incredible
that he
moment.
did
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I was really proud, and he's not even my kid. I just,
Thank you.
live vicariously through your.
And my
Social
wife loves
media.
Divine and the John Waters
Yeah.
movies
Yeah.
and all that shit. She's like,
You want to
Hell
hear a
yeah.
funny John Waters story?
yes.
So the house that I own, that I'm selling right now, it's had previous celebrity owners, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. One of them must be on the John Waters Christmas mailing list. So every year since I've been there, I've been getting John Waters Christmas cards, and they're so awesome.
I'm sure they
And then
are.
this last year was one that was it was like a scratchy ticket, like a large one, and it said you could win up to 21 things, like a bag of meat or a signed book from John Waters, a dinner date with him. It was like all these things, but it's specifically for like his friends, and you
Yeah.
can scratch them off. But I didn't want to scratch it, so I left it. So I don't know what I have on there
wow,
because
that's
it's
fucking
technically not to me, but
Right.
That's incredible. You have them all saved and stuff.
I do. And I have a Yoko Ono one. She sent one to the house too. It's for the previous owner.
What?
But I have a
Wow,
Yoko
that's
Ono
insane.
Christmas card.
Freak was living
I was
there,
gonna
man.
tell whoever buys my house, like,
Yeah,
by
you-
the way, you're gonna get John Waters and Yoko Ono
How
Christmas
cool
cards.
is John Waters for doing that every year? That's insane.
pretty
They're
cool.
so cool.
That's like a lot of
I'll
time.
find the pictures. I'll send them to you
Yeah.
because they're so cool. It's like
That's like so
these
creative.
amazing elaborate Christmas cards. But this last one, I just don't want to scratch it off. I
Right.
want to
Yeah.
keep it intact because I feel like one day I might put it in a frame or something.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruin it. And it could also just be like a fish.
Yeah.
You know, like it was like a bag of meat. It was
That's
like
so
weird,
ra-
funny things.
so crazy.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your son's love for hip hop, Run DMC, and the Daryl's Dream book. I saw
Oh,
you
yeah.
post. We were talking
I
about
love that book.
That's cool. He has a children's book. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
So my mom's friend Myra, she works with Daryl, and I had posted X doing something.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Oh my God, Daryl has a kid's book," and she sent it overnight. And we actually just read it again the other night. He loves that book.
So cool.
It's such a good book.
And his love for hip hop too. That's amazing.
And like, I guess he got, made fun of for wearing the glasses and rhyming, and it was a different time back then.
Huh.
And his mom was just like, "Be authentic, be yourself, honey."
Yeah.
And then he had a big old dream about seeing himself in the future. This is what the book's about.
Wow.
And he went and he was going to do a talent show at school, and these kids were making fun of him, and they ripped up his poem. And then he had to go on stage, and he just freestyled, and then got a standing ovation, and then that's what the whole book is about. But it's written for like 5-year-olds. It's
Nice.
It's great. Daryl's dream.
Wow.
He's great. I love him.
And you didn't meet him back then when you were younger?
I did. I don't remember meeting them, but
not,
somebody
yeah.
sent me a picture of me.
Oh, nice.
I like it's just a funny picture because they're just standing behind me, and I'm like, it must have been at some event. I was wearing like a white like button-up shirt, like a 90s, early 90s flowy thing.
Yeah.
But it must have been at some sort of event, like a Z100 thing or something. Yeah.
That's
but
cool.
they've always been so kind.
Yeah.
To our family, and for him to send that. And then he sent a video where he raps Tricky, because that's my son's favorite song.
Love Tricky, man.
And he says, when I'm not going to rap, but when he says like,
Street to rock
they know,
that's right on time.
they know who's inside, but he said they know X is inside.
Oh,
and so
that's
he was
cool.
just like, oh.
Run DMC is incredible, man. Just all those
Absolutely, they were
records,
so
like
influential.
Yeah. We
Dude.
listened to, we put it on the radio in the car.
yeah,
He loves it. Because it started because we played Axe. That's my son.
I love you call him Axe
Well, so
for short. His name's
Axe was
Axel.
always on my baby name list, and
Okay.
Axton was some video game character that my son's father had,
Okay.
and so I was like, it's
Yeah.
I'll take that. So I call him Axe.
Yeah, Axe is cool.
I love that name. I always thought
Yeah.
that was a great baby name, Axe.
Yeah, it's badass.
But so we played him the song that Run DMC and my dad did, Walk This Way. So he was like, whoa, and then we would just play Run DMC. He really
That's so
gravitates
cool.
towards
Yeah.
hip hop, and he just likes the flow,
rhythm and the
rhythm. I mean, my
yeah.
dad's a drummer, so I would assume that's probably
Yeah.
where it comes from. But he's really into rhythm. He just did they had to sing "Happy," the Pharrell song for his pre-K graduation, and he's the only one that's like in
And the
he's
rhythm
like,
singing
he's
it.
closing his eyes
Oh,
and
it's
singing
so
it, and it's just so
cute.
cute because he's so like he really is in it.
That's cute.
And when he's closing his eyes, and I was like, in that moment, I was like, okay, he's gonna be a musician.
wow.
You don't see 4-year-olds like closing their
Yeah.
eyes, feeling
Yeah,
Pharrell songs.
He'll show those videos on his VH1 story later on, like
Right.
when he goes big with music.
I know.
it's-
I always think of that, and then I'm like, God, the world we live in now. That's where we think.
It's crazy. Well, I'm gonna say it now is because you're the one who mentioned it. I didn't mention it, but there would be no Judgment Night, no Onyx Biohazard, no Anthrax, Public Enemy if it wasn't for that song, the Aerosmith Run DMC song. So I'm just gonna say that. Put it out there. It's facts.
Is that
So
true
that-
though?
yeah, so-
'Cause I know it just from the other side.
No,
of
that was the first crossover thing ever.
Was it really?
What
though?
was it before that?
I just like that they didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And then when you listen to the lyrics, because they're fucking raunchy.
The lyrics
Have you
in that-
ever read
the
Walk
lyrics?
This Way?
But whose lyrics?
My dad's lyrics.
Yeah, but not MC. Not MC. Yeah.
No,
MC, yeah.
but have you ever read them?
No, I haven't.
She's a real young bleeder, is one of the lines.
Did you know that?
And
Derek?
Daryl had to say that, and I just
Oh shit!
no wonder they didn't want to do it. I mean, I
yeah,
love
they
my
didn't wanna
dad.
do
My
it,
dad
that's
is a
right.
sexual being. All his songs have come from a sexual world.
Yeah.
Because that was the time, he's born in 48. So
Wow.
the 60s, sexual liberation.
Yeah.
And he was also a musician during that time. So I would just assume that's, but he's always been a sexual guy. But
Yeah.
so I don't knock him for that. But if you really listen to the
I
lyrics,
never even knew that.
you're going to be like, wait, what? He's
It's-
talking about, a girl walking this way.
Wow.
And they're in high school because.
I never even knew that. I never knew that. You just
Yeah,
schooled me on
me
that.
either.
But what other rock duos before that? There's nothing.
Other
dude.
rap rock duos? None.
Yeah, I
So
guess
that set the tone for everything.
No,
I think
Yeah.
that totally set the tone.
Yeah. I didn't think it was possible, but it was very possible. I mean, it was played everywhere. Everyone was
it's
totally like,
insane, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
What else do you want to talk about?
I have on my list.
I'm an
here.
open book.
What was your last real job you had?
Like the
Was it modeling? Is the last thing?
that
Wow.
stuff. Yeah. I mean, I had a nice chunk of money saved up.
You were smart with
and,
your stuff. Yeah.
But then I switched over and I started doing art.
Yes.
Because I really love photography. Yeah. So I was doing, I don't call it porn because it's not, but I was doing adult themed art.
Yeah,
I was photographing. I became obsessed with fetishes because they're so fucking insane. There's some that are just
Give me
like. One. So I photographed one of my friends who's a dominatrix, and she has a submissive that's a female. Okay. And they are, she'll cut her. Okay. And that's part of it. It's a sex thing where they cut and they're bleeding and I just was like, I would never judge anybody. If you're into that, you're into that. Yeah. Whatever gets you there. But I just was so intrigued by that that I did a whole show called Kink down in Miami for Art Basel, and I just photographed people. I put it out there and I said, anybody have something? Anybody have something strange that's not typical? Would you be willing to let me photograph you do that? And I got a ton of people. I'm sure. Like one of my friends, she didn't want to be mentioned and she didn't want her face shown, but she loves like stockings. Okay. So I did a shot of her bent over. She's very tall in what do you call it? What's the ones the
garter belts?
The stockings, the whatever those are called. Anyway, but I did a shot of her bent over by this bathtub at this hotel I was staying at, and it's just a beautiful black and white, long legs, her butt bent over, legs crossed, and that's what her kink was pretty underwear.
I like you call it kink. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I did the dominatrix. I did another girl who was really cool. She loved sex dolls, like blow up dolls. So I bought a ton and I put her in this bathroom at my friend's house in Brooklyn the bathroom was covered in graffiti, and I just let her play with sex dolls. And I was on a ladder shooting down, and it was amazing to watch her because she was just playing like she was a little kid. And just putting her finger in the butt, but it wasn't sex. Yeah. And then I shot one of my friends, Tommy Pistol. He's a porn star, one of the greatest guys I know. I shot him jerking off. Wow. And I got this beautiful photo. No, I kept it and I had it framed. It didn't sell because I loved it, but I ended up just giving it back to him recently because my boyfriend just was like, no. But it's an up close shot of him jerking off with a boner. But because he's a porn star, he could get a boner literally he pulled his pants down and had a boner. Oh. And it was the first time I was photographing 5 inches away from a guy jerking off. Wow. And it was it wasn't sexual though because I was doing a job. I was creating. So it's really cool to be able to see sex but not be doing it. Yeah. It's interesting. It's a different fold.
Would you make a book and release a book with all those photos?
So I had my computer shit the bed and I lost a ton. I still have it. Wow. Everybody says there's probably a way to get them all out.
Totally is a way, especially now.
Once we move and we're unpacked and I'm just sitting back and my kids in school and everybody's just calm down, I'm gonna start focusing on myself again.
No, that's amazing.
But I want to find those. Yeah.
So you do a book.
Yeah, but that was the last job I was doing. I was doing art, and I loved it. Yeah, and I made good money doing that. So I just stopped doing it because once I had a kid, I was like, I can't photograph titties, and I have a baby, and I wasn't ready yet. Now I feel like I can, so I do want to start doing that again. But I have to get all this other stuff done first. Yeah. So
do you have many major regrets?
No.
You don't seem like a person who does.
No, because everything that's ever happened to me has led to where I'm at right now, and I fucking love my life right now. Yeah. I really love it. Yeah. I have no complaints. Yeah. 0 complaints.
That's amazing.
I mean, we're, other than the rental in Hollywood, that totally sucks because there's hookers around the corner, but it's fun to watch that too, though. But I like to, I'll always find the good in every situation. Yeah. But, no, I have no regrets.
That leads me to the next one. Are you an optimist or pessimist?
Optimist.
Yeah.
Completely.
You seem like that.
100%. I don't like.
Always see the good in things.
Yeah,
in people,
always.
Yeah.
I try to say that's how, if you need to get through life, that's the best way.
Totally.
When my mom died, right? People die. Some people have a hard time with death, but let's try to find the good in that. She's in a better place. Or I've learned lessons. You have to really just spread it open and look for the positivity. There is positivity in every single situation, no matter what. Yeah. no matter what. You can find it. You just have to want to, and life is so much better that way.
It really is.
I dislike negative. My mom was so negative, and I was like, I'm never going to be like that. And I'm sure I've had my phases, but there's just no point in dwelling on.
Yeah.
It's like
I
manifestation. You put out
Exactly.
into the world what you want. If you're constantly talking about negative, then you're going to have negative.
100%.
So.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Do you have any like daily rituals?
I have a kid, so I'm just whatever his rituals
You a coffee
are.
person?
No, I stopped about a year and a half ago.
Oh, let's talk about this because I have a really sick relationship with coffee. A year and a half ago, you quit. Why?
I felt like I was a slave to it. Getting up and like, because I also was like a French press kind of girl. I didn't like the Keurig machines. They taste like shit. Like, I don't want to have to go to Starbucks. I'm antisocial.
Yes.
My friend, he goes every day to the country store in Laurel Canyon and gets a coffee, and that's his thing.
That's his ritual.
He fucking loves it. And
Okay.
I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So I would do the French press, and then I would always break them, or I would run out of coffee, and then coffee wasn't strong enough, and then I was like, or I'd run out of milk or sweetener, whatever it was, and I just was like, I don't want to do this.
Wow.
I don't like to be a slave to anything.
Okay.
So
Respect it.
I
You
just
miss it?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll have a nice coffee.
Okay, yeah.
But I did tea to cut.
Green tea or
I
something?
did like hardcore English, like
Black tea.
the blackest of tea that you could get, and I would do like 3 bags.
Wow.
And then
That's every
I
right.
stopped after about 6 months. I stopped doing that because I was like, I don't fucking need this. I think
Yeah.
a lot of things are mind over matter too.
Mm-hmm.
You want to stop doing something, you stop. Obviously, drugs, you gotta taper yourselves off things, but like coffee, like I'm not gonna let a bean or this whatever this is and some water like affect my life.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck it, I don't need it. And
Nice.
now I'm that asshole that likes a good oat milk latte.
Oh, nice.
I just got into a matcha oat milk latte.
Ooh, I like those. Those
are so fucking
Those
good.
are fucking good. Is
They-
that better for me than coffee? Who
There's
knows?
no caffeine in
Oh,
those.
yeah, that's right.
It just tastes like a horse
So you do
barn.
no caffeine at all?
No.
Wow.
None.
Okay.
Unless I have to like be present the whole day for something.
Yeah.
But even then, like I just had to go through some stuff the last couple of weeks where I was literally up for almost 24 hours and I was
You ready? You ready?
let's do this. What else you got to throw at me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Derek quit for a little bit for a second, and then I quit, and I go back and forth on it. It's like a love-hate thing.
I don't
right?
like the breath either.
The breath's rough.
Yeah.
The breath is really rough. You gotta really pay attention
It's
to
like
that.
people who
I'm
smoke
not kissing
cigarettes.
anybody, so.
Well, I said I'm not kissing anybody. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Oh,
No,
my
it's like people who smoke cigarettes, though. You can
Oh,
smell it on them.
dude.
Coffee, I feel like you can
My
smell
mom
too.
smokes cigarettes. I smell like cigarettes all the
Smoking
time.
coffee.
My clothes smell like cigarettes at
Jeez.
school. My
My teacher had this math teacher, and he would just lean over like, "Okay, everyone, like, let's do this." I was like, "Oh, that smell."
cigarettes
I
and
just
coffee.
remember- yeah.
That's such a crazy combo too.
Yeah.
I get it.
I did that for a long time.
Yeah, I
Cigarettes and
definitely
coffee.
get it.
Yeah.
But the caffeine gives you the high, right? What does a cigarette do
The
for you?
nicotine.
It makes you. That gives you a buzz.
It's
too.
well,
a
you're
addictive.
used to it. It's
Yeah.
Okay.
the
Yeah.
motion of holding a cigarette in between your fingers.
Stimulates
And
you.
Ah.
It's
it is a
stimulant.
stimulant.
And so you get used to that, and it's
And it's
super
social.
addictive. It's very
It is social. And when people drink alcohol, they do smoking too, right?
I quit
Is that-
smoking when I found out I was pregnant. So
Yeah.
Amazing.
I miss it though. Like every once in a while, I'm like, "Fucking give me a cigarette, please," or a drink. Like I don't drink either, and I'm like, "Can we just get beer?"
Yeah.
I can't drink. I can't eat gluten. I'm also one of those people that can't
Ah.
eat gluten anymore. But I found a gluten-free beer, and I was like, "Can we just leave it in the fridge?" Because there's
Yeah.
a night. I mean, my boyfriend doesn't drink, so I don't drink because I have no reason to. I hate alcohol anyways. But
Wow.
every once in a while, I'm like, I just want a fucking cigarette and a beer. Whatever. It's like once a year.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I feel like I need to have like a little capsule
Yeah.
with a cigarette and a
to
beer.
get-
I won't do it. Like,
Emergency or something. Yeah. Do you? I was gonna ask you something you saying about cigarettes just now. Wait. About gluten. Did you get tested for that or something?
no. So when I was like 20, I started getting these like weird equilibrium problems where I would just wake up and if I looked up or down, I would feel like my equilibrium was off and it would make me sick.
Wow.
And that happened a couple times throughout my life. And then I started getting them more and more. It was like all the time. And then my friend Kevin came over and was like, "Oh, stop eating gluten." And I was like, "What?" I'm from New York.
Yeah.
I like bagels, like
Yeah.
pizza.
Pizza,
I was like,
yeah.
no fuck. And I always made
Italian.
fun of gluten-free people
Yeah.
because it was a fad at first.
Yeah.
And then he was like, trust me. He's like, just try it for 1 month. Stop eating gluten. So I did it. I stopped eating gluten and I didn't have one.
Wow.
And then because I stopped eating it, if I would try to eat any, it would make me sick. So now I'm at the point where I can't eat it because it will make me sick because I haven't eaten it.
In years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And so, but it's I haven't had one of those equilibrium problems once. Since I quit.
That's amazing just to find things out like that by just your diet. You know what I mean? Not from a
How it
doctor
can
pill.
definitely affect you.
Well, and
your
Yeah.
diet,
and
absolutely.
in learning about the gluten, because I was like, fuck, now I have to be one of these people.
Yeah.
So I started like diving into it and learning, and I was like, it's really crazy. Like I'm not a vegan, but I love plant-based food.
Yeah.
My boyfriend is a chef. He makes a steak. I cannot not eat that.
Yeah.
But because I had to look at gluten and stuff, I see what our government really puts in our food. And it's so fucking crazy because I really have to look at ingredients now.
And school lunches and just all that kind of stuff.
I have to look for the gluten, and then I follow a couple accounts on Instagram where they show you like these are the chemicals that England won't allow in their food. No country
in
except
Europe,
for
yeah.
America.
Wow.
And then you're like, holy shit, that's like legit poison.
Yep.
I mean, it's just crazy, and we just take it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about this country where we're like, all right, I guess that's the way it is.
I mean, it changed. A lot of that had to do with a lot of these factory or these actual companies,
Yeah.
private companies that were able to, when they started to have the Industrial Revolution, they're able to create with technology so much.
Yeah.
They needed to sell it.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's an overproduction of corn, wheat,
corn.
sugar, all these things, and they're like, we need to put this in different products, in every product. So they have that money from all those products and everything, and they use that for political pull.
Oh,
I mean, they've been doing it, and they've been doing it. It's bigger than ever. But all those products and all those big private companies, they're included in all our food because they're pretty much running the country. It's not really a conspiracy, but they have more money than our country. They're not in debt.
Yeah.
They're consistently making money. So it happened years ago that they started that. And that's why you notice the health of people declining in the U.S. since that time period. You can see a chart of how it is and all the ailments that happen. Like, I used to be able to do this. I used to be. Why is that happening now?
Yeah.
And it's very, very precise. It's been happening. That decline, that slow death.
I just wish it wasn't like, I know everybody talks about it, but it's like you can go get a Happy Meal or you can feed your family at a fast food place,
cheap.
but you
Under
can't go to a
$5.
grocery store and buy vegetables. And it's so unfortunate that this is what's going on in the world.
And they give those
know,
money
man.
supplement. They give those companies money. In order, which is more appalling.
Yeah.
If they reverse that and actually people knew this was happening and actual public of people be like, look, don't give any subsidies to any more of these companies. But there's such a intricate part of the economy now that to knock them off, it really a lot of people lose jobs. A lot of things happen.
What was that movie? Was it What the Health?
Yes.
What the hell?
Did you see that? Where they show like the pig farms down in the South and like the poor black neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hello? Like
I know. It's fucking...
Or how what was it like? They showed the Heart Foundation or the Cancer Society.
Yeah.
And then
Who
they're
their
putting
sponsors were?
and I was like, that movie was so great.
Or the pink ribbon cancer things. And the
Oh
yogurt
yeah,
and stuff
that's
that
all.
gets part of that.
But I that movie, I wish everybody watched that. My dad got me to watch that movie. He was like, sit down and watch this
nice.
movie.
Wow.
He loves that movie. We watched it a couple times.
That was a big movie. That helped a lot of people, I think. When
Definitely.
that came out.
I
The
mean, it
timing for
opened-
that.
See, I
No,
want to
it-
go back and watch that again because
I know What the Health and Game Changers just came out recently. That was the last one that came out.
Yeah.
I was just really like so mortified that that's what they were doing like down in these poor neighborhoods.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like they were blowing like they were like chopping up the pig blood and stuff, and it was going in the air.
Yeah, they
and
were blowing it out in the.
But it was like the white owner of the company was doing it on a Sunday when all these black families were going to church.
Fuck, man.
And the smell, and I was like, I mean, I know like racism and stuff has really shown its ugly face again in just the last couple of years, but I guess I just wasn't aware that level of just despicable people
Hatred and all that.
existed.
Yeah.
And then I saw that and I was like, wait, what? Like, how is this happening?
Yeah, there's a doc called They're Trying to Kill Us you should check out too. Our friend Badass Vegan did it. It's like that, like the food options in different neighborhoods and
Yeah.
social economics, all that stuff. It's it's crazy going to the grocery store during the pandemic and seeing like tons of fruits and vegetables still there, and everything else was gone off the shelves. Toilet paper, all the other shit.
A lot of it has to do with the lack of education here, because I think again this was something that was really thought of. Like they really thought about like, okay, I mean, soon as they had like the USDA, like the actual, because before then there was no regulation.
Right.
So you had kids working in factories. You had all the worst conditions happening. But once that came about, they're like, okay, now we have a watch guard. But it just ended up where these big companies again were like, hey, we're going to create this table that all the kids see in school where it's showing,
the four food groups.
Like those food groups. You remember those charts that they had? They're like, dude, meat and eggs and
dairy.
Cheese. And all those companies, dairy and meat, were paying money to teach kids.
So fucked.
That was, they're like, we need more cheese on the chart.
Yeah.
We need more meat on the chart.
Didn't they put pizza as a...
I don't know.
Like a bullshit thing?
I don't know. That was
I thought pizza was like a... recently added to like the food group or something. There was something.
Who fucking knows at this point? I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
But I remember school was like the milk, the dairy, all that. You had to have
those
everything
companies
in your meal.
had an input in having that. So it's
but that's how this country is.
Yeah.
They just put something out and that's how it is. Like I was recently looking at $1 bill and like with all the "in God we trust" and all this stuff, and I was like, wait a minute. Like we're all forced to just accept it because there's no alternative.
Yeah.
But that's
crazy.
how everything is.
I know.
It's crazy.
Especially you get older, you start realizing all that shit. Like milk does the body good and all that different commercials we saw growing up.
It was all propaganda. I mean, it was all very strong propaganda. But like I said, these companies aren't in debt.
Yeah.
They have a lot of money.
Billions,
they make crazy money. Crazy money. It's not like the U.S. government in debt, ridiculously in debt, and has no money, borrowing money from. I mean, I can go deep into that, but I mean, it's just. Those companies are powerful.
Yeah,
they
that's,
run.
That's what it is. It's the power.
And they've been gaining power.
Power and money.
But
they hate oat milk, I'll tell you that.
They're gaining
I love
that
oat
power.
milk.
I'm saying they hate those companies.
I know, but I love it.
Shit.
I just got into oat milk. I had no idea.
It's
Have you had it?
Yeah,
it's so good.
it's great.
Of course you had.
He decided right now on his thing. But I mean, when Silk came out and soy milk, all those companies were so shook.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
all
all
these alternatives were
shook.
coming, bro. It's like.
But there is power. Like I honestly believe there are powers in numbers, and that's why, for me, I think education is so important, because once people realize the power they have and they're consuming, like how you consume things, how you buy things, that's where the power is. Like I'm not going to buy that product. That product won't exist anymore. Like if you say like, I don't want to buy that because they're killing the environment, they're killing us and animals, then that company will cease to exist once you stop buying those things.
That's why we're moving, because where we're moving to, they don't have any chain restaurants. Outside of the town, there's a McDonald's and I think a whatever, but there's no chain restaurants. There's no bullshit. There's just everybody. There's like farms. You can do farm to table. You can do all that stuff. And I'm
That's
like,
cool.
It's
kind of off the grid. Yeah.
It is off the grid. But it's not, because it's still close to LA. But it's I keep saying like I can't wait to see what the world is like when my son is our age.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we won't be here, but like when he's a little bit older, to see if we've made any
impact with our
impact.
kids.
But then I see the stuff that's been going on with like the Trump and all the racism and like shooting up grocery stores. And I'm like, I can't believe that racist is like, it's a volcano, and it was just lying dormant. And I guess I don't, you probably know better.
It's always been there.
'Cause I'm a white gal, but
I mean,
I know it's always been there. But I guess for the rest of the world, we don't always see it the way maybe you do.
Right.
And the fact that it's so fucking vile right now, I
think
can't even believe.
Past 2 years, so many people you could see who the racists were. A lot of people just came to the surface through Facebook, all the social media. You saw people's true colors in the last couple of years.
Isn't it crazy though that we've got this guy, Trump, right? Who comes out, and then we realize that anybody that follows him is in that realm. You know what I mean? Like they needed a leader, or like what?
The people came out
it was
the
like a
rocks and all that
magnet.
stuff.
Yeah, like friends I grew up with my whole life that are now have switched to the other side, and I'm like.
But you got to look at it another way too. Is that on the left side, it's not the strongest candidates too. So
I don't. I don't claim one or the other. I just look at it like.
I mean, because there are people that are like,
Yeah.
you know, they'll move to.
No, I
guess, like,
I don't like any.
right.
Anybody
Neither do
that's
I.
in the Congress, in the government, I think they're all.
Yeah,
It's all
full of
bullshit.
shit.
Every single one
Right.
of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know.
But him to be the leader
that's
of like this
absurd. But I
funky-
wasn't that shocked. I mean, you grew up like mostly in New York. You grew up like on the East Coast stuff, but I grew up like in the middle of the country, so it was always see it consistent. I was like, this
maybe
is
that's what it is then.
We
'cause
lived
I
in
was
our New York,
York.
California bubbles.
I mean,
do you know what I mean?
America
Yeah.
itself, like, and I had to travel with my parents, like, around and visit relatives in the middle of the U.S., and I've noticed the changes, but it's always been like that.
Right.
I mean, and especially when you look at, like, you know, you have people talking about race theory, they want to go deep. I was like, they should, because it's always been that way. You know, it's these problems, you know, this country was founded on that. Straight and simple. It's always been that from the very beginning. Like, there was just this weird notion that I had, and a lot of people that we grew up with, like, you know, when they came here, the Pilgrims, and they had this wonderful meal.
Columbus.
It was incredible. Christopher Columbus, you know, he came to America. He didn't even come to America ever. Mm-hmm. He never set foot in America, it's like mind blowing when you get older and you find out, you know, these things. But I mean, it's just so interesting. But the country itself has just been, I don't know. It's just like this illusion. You know, you have so many people like, I want to go to America and live the dream and the American dream. It's hard to live in America.
Yeah.
You know, that's an illusion that people have from the out. They're like, I'm working 3 jobs now. I'm working more than I did in my own home country.
Yeah.
You know,
I just don't understand the concept of like when they say go back to your country. But no one.
Right. Exactly.
No one is from here except for Native Americans.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do they get? I've never understood that. How do they
man.
get off saying
Bad
that?
education.
Yeah.
Do they not understand? Like,
They don't. They don't.
can you have a
understand.
conversation with somebody that says that though, and be like, "Do you know where you came from?"
No, they don't. It's like really bad.
Or is it
education.
because now that they live here, this is their land?
Well, that's another thing.
Like,
I mean,
how does it work?
it's very. I mean, it's country. I mean, it was founded on the idea of like, I'm gonna have my land, my property, me.
True.
And nobody living here really lived like that. You know, the indigenous people, the native people living here was like, this is the earth. You know, this is land for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't understand this, like, putting up like a wall or a fence and let's like
the wall.
tape it up. And I mean,
Dude.
it's crazy, but it's just a
Did
different.
that come down, by the way? Did they?
No.
They started building,
They were
but
building
then
it.
so where?
I think it's still being built, Derek.
I'm sure in certain parts.
Isn't it funny that we don't
haven't
know
been
about that
following.
stuff?
No, man.
Like, you know,
It's
that's
such a
just-
crazy world, man.
But I'm just saying, the last thing I'll go on the politics. I just think
I
the
love
education. I mean, living outside of the country for 20 years, you see it in a different
That's
way.
why I was in Brazil for 20
and you
years.
get to see, you know, like how people talk about the U.S. and how they see it as well.
Right.
And so that was like a mind.
Did you see
blowing
that
experience.
in like Sweden or Switzerland? They do role playing of Americans
That would be fun to
where
see.
they like
No.
where they're like drinking a beer and like they do role play
Wow.
like the way we do
Yeah.
you know the Civil War.
Yeah.
Right.
They do Americans. They do
Wow.
like 4th of July role play. It was like a Instagram meme thing they were showing.
That's
they were like,
incredible.
That's hilarious.
yeah,
I can't imagine looking in on us during 2020 with all the insane how we looked as a country being on the other side. Because I remember going there.
we're Walmart.
Yeah.
We're a giant Walmart.
I remember going to the Trump collective. Like that's really people asking me in interviews, like a band interview. Is that what do you think about your president? That's your president? Like people think it was real. You know what I mean? And for Max's generation, he was like a joke on. He was like a meme or a TikTok thing. And all of a sudden, these kids like, oh my god, this guy's our president now.
Yeah.
And kids were like tripping. Like this is real life. Like
It's very real.
it's
wild.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
We just gotta hope our kids are the future.
Yeah.
As corny as it sounds, but like we raise them the best we can with compassion and love. And
And you were talking about schooling with your son, and you
Yeah.
wanted him to go to a public school, right?
Yeah, so I'm a big
I love
fan
that.
of public school. I went to private school. I just
yeah,
gosh. So I don't know. I guess I don't know how to say this without coming off as a little harsh, but one of the things that I'm the most afraid of is white kids in private school.
Right.
Rich white kids.
Yep.
And that's just the way the world is right now. Like, I just don't trust their parents to raise them correctly. And unfortunately, that's what's going on. And my son is mixed race, and I want him to be diverse, be around diversity.
Yeah.
No, it's important.
I don't want
Culture.
him to just be around one type of person.
Right.
And so now that he's going into kindergarten, that I have to look, online they show you, I don't know if it's everywhere, but in California they show you how many kids are black, how many kids are white, how many Hispanic and other. And I looked at that. I mean, that was the first thing I looked at. I didn't even care about the
Right.
they give you a number on what level it is, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't even care. I went straight to that. And the public schools were diverse. I found one that's a music school that he can be himself in. But it's a scary time to be a parent with, deciding your child's future as far
it's
as like
definitely
what's
scary.
safe.
Yeah.
And then you've got, elementary school shootings. And we just looked at my son's new school and I was like, the kindergarten classrooms are the first on the property. And then I was like, there's no guards or anything there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I mean, I know that this town doesn't have a whole lot of, that stuff, but you never know. I mean, obviously you never know anymore.
It's a different world, man.
Yeah, there's not a lot of crime there, but also this guy just shot up Oklahoma because he was mad the doctor couldn't
Fix
give
his
him
back or something.
back pills or something. So it's like, I don't
know
know.
what you're
I mean,
saying.
I have a gun. I'm a card carrying gun owner, and I believe that you should be able to protect your family, but I don't think that we need semi-automatic hardcore war weapons. My boyfriend, he fought in Iraq, and he was like, they were using the same guns over there, and he's like, why would you need to personally have that gun in your house to protect yourself? It's just, and then I feel like as a gun owner, like there should be more. It was really easy for me to get mine. It was like nothing. And I think that I think you should have to take a test that's like a psychological
I saw that
test.
video online. Remember they showed that kid, he was going to try to buy a beer. They said no.
Yeah.
He's going to do lottery
Oh.
ticket. They said
Yeah.
no. They went and bought the thing. He was like 14.
Yeah.
And he got the thing and walked out. Yeah.
There
I
just
remember
needs to
we
be
were
more
talking about
regulation,
this.
and I don't
Yeah.
know why people fight that.
Because that's the next step in taking away all
Right.
the guns.
This is
That's the
America, my
excuse that they
guns.
use.
Yeah.
It's like scripted excuse. Like, well, that's the next step where
Yeah.
we're going to take all our guns. It's like it's impossible to take all the guns. Get over that. There's got to be some type of compromise. It's the only country where you can go in, like you said, and just turn around. It's just ridiculous. There should be a test.
And then they're saying like, oh, well, we just need to put guards at the school. We need to lock the doors. Like, no,
man.
that's not going to stop it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. But public school is good.
I love public school.
I'm glad my son went to public school.
Yeah.
He went to Hamilton High. It was excellent. He started off at Larchmont Charter, which I thought was a cool school, but it's very
I just learned about
sheltered.
charters and stuff.
Yeah, it was a very like lottery. Get in there. It was very It was very like sheltered bubble. Driving to school every single day. Then he moved into a different school, which he wanted. Quote: I want to go to a school where there's bullies and lockers. I'm like, cool. So Max went to a real school, Hamilton High. He got into the music program. He learned how to read music, play piano. A bunch of people graduated from this amazing school on on Robertson or La Cienega. It's a great school over here, and it's like all different kids from all around the whole city, and it's a great camp. He loved it. It just changed everything for him.
Yeah, that's what I
so
want.
he loved that. Yeah. I mean, Larchmont Charter is a public school, but it's a lot of politics in those charter schools, man.
Yeah.
I raised money for it. I went there and I did my hours. I gave food to the kids. That was fun, like being in the school and doing all that stuff. But when he went to Hamilton High, it was just a game changer for him.
That's what my son's new school is. It's like an actual it's a plot of land. And there's lots of rooms and there's a bell and a loudspeaker and I love that for him that he gets to experience that. I just don't like
all the other crazy
other crap that goes with it. Like, okay, well now we need to have a security guard outside of school and they're not doing anything anyway. So
I think a lot of people might start maybe homeschooling their kids after everything going on. You know what I mean?
See, I don't want to do that though.
Yeah.
I just feel like he needs to be around.
Right.
Yeah. Kids were forced to do that for 2 years and not be social.
Yeah.
And
That was enough.
not
I'm sure
healthy.
I can't imagine like a kid's psyche coming out of the pandemic and not having to go to school and virtually talk to students. That's a whole other thing. But my son graduated high school online. It was fucking crazy, man.
Yeah.
But fuck.
Yeah, that whole public school, I had that option, and I went to the private school, and I was like, I can't go here.
Yeah, I hated it.
And I'm glad that my mom was just like, okay, you don't have to go. I just wanted you to go to see.
To try it, yeah.
To see if there was some. My brother went, but I was like, I'm not. I was like, I need to be around some diversity of people.
We said we're gonna send him to public school for elementary and middle school, and then if high school he decides he wants to be serious musician or whatever,
Yeah.
we can find a school that will cater to that. But for
Totally.
makes sense.
elementary and middle school, like, just go get a good education.
Yes.
And then you can figure it out. You don't need to be making any life decisions in high
Right,
school anyways,
right.
really.
Be a kid.
They force
yeah.
that on you. Like, you got to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. No,
Dude.
you don't.
That was the
No.
worst.
Yeah.
No. And so we're still figuring it out. I mean, obviously we're doing stuff, but throughout your life, you're still figuring out what it is your purpose is.
I
or
didn't
what
know
you
until
wanna-
my 30s what I really,
Right.
mentally who I was. So
Mhm.
I don't want to put any pressure on him.
Yeah. There's already enough pressure as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this world with
Yeah.
everything, the phones, all that shit, man.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, Mia. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having
We
me.
covered a lot of shit. We have any questions for any more from Mia?
I think.
I have an open book. You can ask
No,
me
you're
anything.
amazing.
Literally anything.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's. I don't know if this is true or not.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Oh god.
You said it, Mia. You asked for it.
Stop. It's not something. I mean,
I like
thought
that
it
you
was
did
like
your homework though.
I did. I was just like, I gotta find something that I was just like, what?
All my notes are good.
Like at least as far as like,
Okay,
what, like
hit me
way,
because
never
now
imagined.
I gotta know.
No, but it's nothing negative. It was
Okay.
just like, wow, really? That's amazing. If this really happened. So you never met your sister.
I knew that's what you were gonna say.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna say. Yeah,
So you met your sister at an Aerosmith show,
I did.
and you just
Which
looked over.
sister?
Live.
Wow.
Looked over and were like, "Yo, this person
So-
looks like me."
Come on.
Well, so I lived in New Hampshire and
Right.
she's from Maine.
Go in D. Go in
Right.
D.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Go.
And I think I was like 9 or something, and my dad would send a car for me to go
Right,
and
of course.
drive an hour or whatever. That was my life at
Yeah,
9,
yeah,
just sitting
yeah.
in a car, looking out the window,
That's crazy.
driving to Mansfield or whatever. I think this one was in Maine though.
Okay.
And yeah, I got there and there was never any other kids backstage.
Right.
And she was there with her mom. I don't really remember her mom being there, but I know she was there.
Right.
And we just played. She's 18 months older than me. So we just played backstage. I was 9, she was 10 and a half or
Yeah.
whatever. And there was like a little VIP outdoor thing, and we went out there, and one of these crazy fans was like, "Oh my God, Mia!" And she was like, "You guys look so cute together. Are you sisters? Like, you look like twins." And we were like, we turned to
Wow.
each other. We were like, "Yeah," because we were just little girls playing,
Wow.
and we had been playing all night. Yeah, this is a true
Right.
story. And we went back and we played, and there's pictures of us from that night. And I got home that night, and I was like, "Oh, I met this girl backstage," and I was telling my mom, and she goes, "Oh."
Sit down.
She goes, "Was there a lady named BB there?" And I was like, yeah, that was her mom. And she goes, "Oh, was the girl's name Amy?" And I was like, "No, it was Liv." And she was like, "No, her name's Amy." And I was like, "No, it was Liv." And she was like, "Well, that's your sister." And that's how I found out.
Well, that's
your
your sister.
sister.
Told you.
There you go.
How old
That's
were you
it.
then?
9 or 10, I
Holy
think maybe.
shit, that's incredible, man.
And then so cut to we
They weren't ever going to tell you. They're going to tell you when you get old enough to know, maybe.
So they didn't. Nothing ever came of it. And I'm
Wow.
sure my mom and I talked about it a little bit more. I don't really remember that, but
That's fucking crazy.
when I was 12, we moved back to New York, and Liv also moved to New York with her mom because her mom was part of the Warhol, like that whole
Oh, yeah.
party
Yeah,
scene
yeah.
too. She was, I mean, she calls herself a groupie, so she was one of the biggest
OG,
groupies.
yeah.
Yeah, and so she, had dated a lot of people, and she was part of that Lower East Side New York scene that my
Yeah.
mom was in. They knew each other prior, so
Crazy, man.
it was all,
Yeah, of
everybody
course they
just
would, yeah.
fucked everybody, and
Right.
it was the 70s, so it was just like rock stars. And my mom was married to David Johansen from the New York Dolls,
Yeah.
and she left him for my dad, so that's a whole
That
other
shit's
thing.
Crazy.
There's a song that the Dolls do, I think it's called Flamingo Road, and I didn't realize until just a couple years ago that it's about a movie so it was like one of those 50s or 60s movies, like a black and white. I forget who's in it, like Joan Crawford or somebody, but
Yeah.
it's about a girl who's with this guy who's kind of poor or whatever, and she leaves him for a rich, like famous guy. And so I guess David Johansen wrote the song Flamingo Road, so I guess that's about my mom. But
Wow.
anyway,
And
a lot of-
Aerosmith had a song about you.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's that song called?
Mia.
That's
Anyway,
amazing,
so
too.
BB was part of that scene too, and
Yeah.
everybody just whatever. And I guess she had gone. I think she was his girlfriend, and she went to Europe for a tour, a leg,
Hello.
and
So
came back.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
she was in a relationship with Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
So when she came back and was pregnant, she also knew my dad was doing dope and being wild.
Yeah.
And she went to Todd and said, I'm pregnant. And he said, let's raise the baby. And so she didn't say anything to my dad.
Okay.
But once Liv got of a certain age, she started looking a little bit more like me.
Yeah.
She was just a taller version. And then, so we kind of were friends, like pen pals over the years. Like, I think we might have talked on the phone, but like I have letters that she sent me, like a card.
That's incredible.
And then we moved to New York at the same time, and we both showed up. We both had perms. And
That's
we were, you know, just there's a picture of us. We both have perms. I've got my New Kids on the Block pin, and we've got this pink frosty lipstick on, and we look like identical twins.
That's
so
incredible.
But so I started hanging out with her, and my mom would let me go hang out at her house with her mom, and we would go. Our favorite thing was to go to the deli. There was like a little bodega around from her house, and we would just buy chips and candy because we weren't allowed to eat that stuff.
Wow.
And we would just sit on these like walls just eating stoops, you know, just like.
Yeah, stoops.
And then I remember we came back, and my mom came to pick me up, and I was in her bedroom or something by myself, and she came running in. And the whole time we were hanging out, I knew and didn't know she knew.
Okay.
Come to find out, she knew and didn't know I knew.
Oh shit.
So we were holding it in for a long time.
Yeah.
So when my mom came to pick me up this one particular time, I was in her room, and she came running in, and she was like, you know? And I was like, you know? And we just like cried and like hugged. And then we've been sisters ever since.
That's fucking amazing,
legally,
man.
you know, or not legally, but like,
Yeah.
since I was like, I don't know, 12, 13.
That's incredible.
So yeah,
man.
we didn't really know about her prior to that. So
That's a crazy moment. That's a crazy story.
It's
it
crazy.
is. It really is.
I was like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I can't.
It's funny because it's true. 100% true.
Right. I was like, wow.
It's such a wild thing.
Is there something out in the world about you that's not true that ever bothered you? Or like where people think you're really supposed to be like, you're really not? Or like, I don't know.
I don't know. I think not so much anymore, but I used to think people just always thought that I was like, one thing I hate is that everybody thinks that I'm rich like my dad, which I am not. That's a whole
misconception.
That is a
It's
whole.
like, you're not an author on a
That's a
Aerosmith
whole
album.
different kind of money.
Yeah.
And so they think that and I think a lot of celebrity kids probably do live maybe
With the parents' paper, like
wild
that,
lifestyles. And like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I get stuff. Like, of course I
Yeah.
get stuff.
It's your pops, man. Yeah.
But I'm not, you know, we don't get like Ferraris and like, you know, whatever. Like I had to get a loan from him for something, and you know, to sell. Like, I'm getting work done on my house, and it costs a little bit of money to get that work done. So I was like, can I have a little money? I'll pay you back with the sale of the house. Little things like that. You know, so I do get benefits in life, you know, but people sometimes
think that you have like a
I don't get a
golden
lot of
spoon.
negative comments on Instagram and all that stuff, but sometimes somebody will be like, oh, well, you're rich and like you can, and I'm like, no, I don't have that kind of money. I don't even have 1% of what he has. Like, that's a whole different
do you
level.
love Aerosmith's music?
No, not
Are
my.
you a big fan? I mean,
No.
it's part of your life now.
I like the songs that everybody likes. There's
Yeah.
a couple songs like Seasons of Wither. Those songs are just so, there's emotion in them, and they're so deep. But no, I'm not. I wasn't really like, I think because I had to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't choose to be.
Yeah.
And you know, I
You
don't.
found your own type of music you liked and
Yeah.
connected to as well.
Yeah. No, I was always into like metal and like harder stuff. Like Faith
Yeah.
No More in the 80s was
yeah.
like my first. It just grabbed me, and I just was like, "What is this?
Yeah.
I need to
Incredible.
be a part of this."
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah. And just, you know, the escalation of that, and Deftones and all those bands that in the 90s.
Shout out to Chino who's listening right now. Love you, Chino.
I know Chino.
He listens every week. He's
Yeah.
the best. I love him.
I know Risa.
Oh, is that his lady?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
But just like all those bands that really just grabbed me, and then it, you know, obviously later in life, like Lamb of God, like that was always my favorite.
Yeah, Randy.
I love Randy. He's one of my
Best.
favorite people. Have you ever heard his crazy stories about?
Oh, yeah, I have him in the party. Told him. Yeah.
Oof.
I just sang it back up on the new record. I'm pretty psyched to hear how it sounds.
He came to my apartment once, right after he got out of there, and was just because I had this mannequin that I had made for an art show, and in it I had her like all designed, but I had put like a zipper with fur under it, and she was pregnant, and it was like red, and he hated it because he said it reminded him of this guy whose guts were hanging out in prison when he was.
Whoa.
Yeah, and
That's
I was like,
intense.
I'm sorry, like you know, like I covered it, but I love Randy. He's awesome.
He's
but
the best.
those bands really, you know.
You connected to.
Yeah, I never was into like I just recently like started liking the Beatles.
Okay.
Like for the music.
Yeah.
Little things like that, but I never was into. I think because my mom tried to force me, like the
Force a lot of
Stones
things,
and all this
yeah.
stuff. Like, but she got me into Soundgarden and all these other bands. So, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like being forced into things. So,
Do you have like a top 5 of music artists or bands or anything?
Deftones will always be my number one.
Sick.
Crosses, his other
Crosses,
band.
yeah.
That first album, like, still my heart every time I listen to it. I listen to it driving, but Deftones will always be my number one. I think that's why, because I know Risa, and I've met Chino a couple times, but I purposely stay away from him because I love the band so much, and I don't want to know him on a personal level. I want to know him for his music. So
That's awesome.
and that happens a lot in this world where it's like you meet somebody and then you're like, oh, I mean,
I would-
Chino is a great
He's
guy.
a sweetheart. Yeah.
He's so awesome, but I just
You won't be let down. Yeah,
no, but I if I felt like if I was really friends with them, I couldn't say they were my favorite band.
yeah, you could geek out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's Deftones will always be my number one.
Yeah.
Always. I can't think. I still have mommy brain. Like
It's all good.
I love Lamb of God, Deftones, Faith No More.
It's a good one. Man.
God, I can't even
Any
think right
hip hop
now.
in there?
I'm not a huge. I mean, I love Biggie. That's always like my
Yeah.
favorite. But I just had this huge discussion with my boyfriend about that. Like when you go back and you listen to their lyrics from the '90s and how
Weird.
awful they were to women, and trying to like teach my son not to be like that. So it's like this weird middle ground where like I want to listen to that, but I can't because I don't want my kid to hear that because he has no idea that kind of talk exists.
Yeah.
Like Tupac, I love Tupac. So yeah, I'd probably put that in the top 5 just as a poet, you know, as an actual
Well,
like
a true poet for sure.
caring, emotional poet.
Incredible.
Music
actor,
aside,
too.
like he was great, but you know who he really was.
Yeah.
He's a really good actor as well.
Yeah.
Incredible actor.
Yeah.
Incredible actor. Went to like School of Art or something in Manhattan or something, right? You went to school there?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know.
All good.
I really don't listen to a whole lot anymore because I'm just always in the car and my kid just wants to hear. His new thing is that Sunflower song from Post Malone because it's in.
Oh yeah,
it's in those movies.
Yeah.
So he's like obsessed with Sonic 2 now. So there's like what's the guy that's with Kylie Jenner? Travis Scott. There's like a Travis Scott song he likes, or there's like, you know, because he hears them from
those movies.
But that's so the only music I know is soundtrack music.
Yeah.
But I don't really get a chance to listen to music because I'm in the car.
Yeah.
And so we just put on Run DMC. It's always
It's
a go-to. He just wants to hear Tricky over and over.
Tricky's the best, man.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man.
It's hot in here.
I know.
Just get really hot.
It
in
got
here?
really
I'm
hot.
sorry.
I was
Okay.
like-
Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for talking. Thank you for sharing your story. This is amazing. Psyched to connect with you again.
Yeah, I've
Really psyched.
wanted to do something and just chat. This
this
is
is
the
nice.
only one I could really think of that's
I appreciate
in
it.
this realm of my
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
It was really nice. Really nice to reconnect with you. I'm stoked we're out in your life.
It's just got
We're
so
going to
hot.
hang soon, though. We're going to hang in real life. Off
Yeah.
the pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Derek?
No,
Hey,
I'm
okay.
gonna get some air soon.
Okay, I realized it got hot in here. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry.
My
I know, I
God.
was like, did the heat
Yeah,
come
I
on?
thought it was just me. And then I was
Do
like,
you have a website or
It's the
anything?
deep
Do you
conversation.
have anything people
Yeah.
can, just your name on Instagram, people can find you there, or
Just-
you have a website or anything, or
no.
not?
Just my Instagram, but I just post pictures of my boyfriend and my kid and my
Yeah.
dogs. I really do. I don't I'm not selling anything. I'm
No,
not.
we're chilling.
I post food stuff. We're
Yeah.
starting like a catering company. So
Nice.
that's one of the things that we're doing when we move.
Okay.
Because my boyfriend is such an amazing chef. So maybe look out for that.
Do you have a name for it yet?
Yeah.
Can't say
I don't
it.
know if we can use it because
Let's not say it in case somebody tries to copyright it without you knowing.
No, because
Okay.
there's like restaurants and stuff, but like, so our initials are Joe, Axe, and Mia, so we always say Jam. But then my son came up with a little, so when they cook me breakfast on the weekends and stuff, they call it,
Nice.
my son, yeah, they do, like Joe will make potatoes and Axe will help and all that stuff, but Axe called it Love Bunny.
I like that
So we
too.
call our little situation Love Bunny.
I love that.
But no, I I'm not selling anything. I'm not pushing anything. If you would like to look at my child, my boyfriend, my dogs, and the occasional, sometimes I'm in a story selfie.
Okay.
Then my Instagram is for you.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Derek Green.
Word.
That was awesome. Now let's get some air conditioning. Bye. Yo, people always ask me what kind of frames I'm rocking. I've been rocking Caddis for a couple years. They make amazing progressive readers, which I wear. Also, they make sunglass readers, anti-glare, anti-smudge coating, anti-scratch, and anti-aging. That's why I look mad young when I wear them. I'm just kidding. But they make amazing frames. Caddis, so stoked to have you guys part of the podcast. You can go to caddislife.com/Toby10 and get $10 off your first purchase. Stoked. Thank you, Caddis. Welcome to the fam. Yo, Liquid Death, thank you so much for hydrating all my guests, taking care of me and my family and my friends. Love your water, love your brand, love what you stand for, love what you give back to the community. If you want to learn more about Liquid Death and how it started, listen to episode 115 with the co-founder, owner, and creator of Liquid Death, Mike Cesario. Just a punk rock skateboarding kid from Delaware with a dream. It's an incredible story, incredible journey. They have now blessed me with my own code. So if you go liquiddeath.com/Toby, you get free shipping on any items you order from liquiddeath.com. Thank you so much, Liquid Death. Death to plastic, murder your thirst. Stay hydrated. You know H2O saves lives.